Good morning to our North American viewers. Good afternoon or good evening to our international viewers. Welcome back to our continued coverage of the Albany, New York July 4th tournament. Matt Canik holding down the booth. And this morning, I am stoked to be joined by none other than Jesse Day. Jesse, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, y'all. I am doing pretty good. Very excited to witness today's stacked field. Very international flair. It's a great post 4th of July activity. I'm really excited for this. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super cool tournament here, a 4-day Scrabble tournament. First day was yesterday, July 4th. We're running through today. So thanks to those of you working the day after 4th of July. Hope we can drone on in the background and make your workday a little bit more productive or at least entertaining. And we'll be here on Saturday and Sunday as well. 27 total games of Scrabble, and the first 7 have been played so far. Still a lot to be seen. And as Jesse referred to, an absolutely stacked field, particularly in the CSW division. There are so many good players here. And the two we're going to show you in round one, Wellington Jageri and Chris Lipe. Each of these gentlemen has made it to the finals of a world championship. And of course, Wellington has won the whole shebang. Jesse, give us a brief scouting report on each of those players for those who maybe haven't heard of them yet.
Wow. Well, Wellington Jagger, when he won in Perth in, I believe, 2015, was the first champion from the African continent. And he, in many ways, represents a completely divergent evolutionary style of Scrabble, the culmination of a vibrant Scrabble culture in Nigeria that has been driven less by Quackle and other analytic machines and more just by a deep love of the game, a sense of national pride, and the willingness to just plow through the dictionary by hand. I mean, the passion that the Nigerian community has from the game is something I really admire. And Wellington rose to the forefront as the top of that community. He emerged at the World Championship, I believe in Poland or Prague a few years before that. But he went to a World Championship final, swept the final 4-0, and proved that he is one of the game's great champions. So he's a ferocious competitor. He's the nicest guy off the board, but while playing, he is an unrivaled competitive spirit and focus. And I love playing against him and watching him play. And then Chris Light, I mean, he's been to the World Championship final as well. So he's one of the best players in North America. He is the president of the World English Scrabble Players Association, which is a lot of work and a huge service to the game. And he's also a player of top caliber himself. So this is going to be a great matchup.
And both players giving back to this community who that has given them so much. Chris Lipe, West Chair, and Wellington mentioning a few days ago that he wants to start getting more into streaming, more into creating Scrabble content, and making this game more accessible. That's going to be so exciting. Everybody
That's
keep your eyes peeled for that, because that's going to be so interesting to learn from and watch. Chris Lipe sits in third place right now at 6-1. He and two other players are 6-1, Adam Logan and Ben Schoenbrunn. Wellington sits just one game back, currently in fifth place at 5-2, but plus 609 on the differential. Wellington doing Wellington things and winning games big. So this is going to be a good game and one with a lot of playoff or at least first, second, third place ramifications. Wellington to play first, AETYLUP to round out the rack. And I don't think there's any bingo here. I don't think Wellington going to waste much more time before playing this, right? Up late?
Yeah, just in general, this is there's several African players at this tournament, and one culturally different cultural difference you're going to see in the play is that they play fast by tendency. I think it's just when everyone around you plays fast, you play too. Wellington is going to throw tiles on the board and put pressure on the clock when he can. And this is one of those cases that took 29 seconds. That's fast.
And from what we've seen from Wellington so far on stream, this is actually somewhat slow. I've seen him put down first moves in like 8, 12, 15 seconds sometimes. First moves, there's a lot less to think about because there are no spots to examine, try to fit words in. And Wellington so consistently plays these correct and so instantly plays these correct. We've come to expect it from him. Like clockwork, there he is once again. And Chris Lipe now to respond, AACEEMN. One standout option here, a 5-tile underlap between a play, and that would be MEANE for 26. They're tough to spot, these underlaps, but I think there's no reason to make any other play once Lipe is aware of that one. What say you, Jesse?
Well, the first turn of the game is a chance to impose your style on the upcoming game. And sometimes if your opponent has a distinctly either aggressive or defensive style, this is somewhere where you could expend a few points to tilt the strategic arc of the game in the direction you prefer. With that said, facing Wellington, he's such a strong player that I don't really think he has a strategic weakness of any kind. You know that he knows most of the dictionary, but you also know that he's very comfortable playing in tight spaces. So it's there. The first move of the game is not always so cut and dry. He could also try to go for a bingo immediately. So mean the underlap mean under uplay is really nice, but it's a little more defensive minded, I would say. It makes it impossible to play 8-letter words. If Chris thinks that he needs an early bingo, I could see him simply playing off 3 tiles and trying to maximize his chances of bingoing next turn. It could be something like AME or AM under lay. I would take mean because it's simply too many points, but I wouldn't be shocked if Chris chooses to play short. Or maybe he'd play at what is it, 7 at 9G, so putting the M under the U and the E under the P. He would probably rather do that so he doesn't open a huge scoring spot immediately in response. But if Chris thinks he needs a more open game or a bingo-oriented... Oh, that is snazzy. Look at that. Is this one of those ChatGPT things? I just say a word and then it writes itself on the board? Or wow.
I wish I am the robot in this instance. I just have a telestrator.
Oh.
Writing the 2 different placements of AME just to kind of share. But yeah, I agree. The placement over here, setting up additional lines. If you're going to sell out for a bingo, I think you play it on the left side. But Chris opting sort of to split the difference here, taking some extra points over AME, but I think he hasn't spotted the overlap, and Meanie for 20 going to come down, which gives Wellington another very quick decision here out of EIIQRST. He's going to eject the Q, easily his best option on that turn, and the powerful EIRST leave for Wellington, likely to pay him some dividends next turn. Back to Lipe, who's drawn AACELXY. Calyx for 39 looks to be the best play here through the L and up lay, but the big overlapping spot next to QI after Wellington's played it so quickly. Are you worried perhaps about Wellington cashing an enormous play alongside QI?
For me personally, I wouldn't lose too much sleep over it. Yes, it is. It could be a setup. But there's no guarantee that Wellington has another Q. Wellington will probably access it first, and he's played Calyx. Very nice. I think it's one of those randomizers that doesn't so much favor either player. It just kind of makes the board generally more volatile. You can't sacrifice too many points to block because it could benefit you. Although in this case, maybe a block, if he had psychic powers, a block could have been in order because this is a big play coming down.
Yeah, zestier, the bingo that Wellington has drawn. It will play for 84 here, and Wellington, nothing else to think about when you've got the 84 pointer. You're just going to play it. So a bingo for Wellington will pull him ahead 138 to 50. AAEKHLO for Chris Light. And this board now has quite a bit of life, and Chris has drawn some good scoring tiles. Several points available for him in HAKEA right here. Jesse, does that appear to be the standout play in your eyes, or is there something else you're thinking about?
Yeah, this is a nice scoring back, especially in the CSW lexicon. The K is a pretty power. It's not a full on power tile like the Z or the X, but the K tends to score a lot. And knowing your 5-letter K words really pays off in this case because Hakea would be a massive score that actually goes a fair way to catching him back up. One thing I'm very intrigued by as I watch this is that Wellington has been playing high level Scrabble since Wednesday this week when he had that demonstration match with none other than Will Anderson, Wanderer 15. So Wellington seems like he's very, very comfortable at the moment. And I wonder if that extra couple of days to adjust jet lag and to sharpen his game is paying off right now.
Yeah, the fatigue factor is something we're going to be watching in North America the entire month of July, as there are two other
Absolutely.
major tournaments shortly after this one. Players who are playing in two or all three of these major events are certainly going to be feeling some fatigue. But Wellington, better than anybody, I think, just take it one turn at a time. He played two very long events in Las Vegas and seemed to be still at the top of his game 70 rounds in. So I think he is less likely to be hit, but the jet lag factor perhaps could be one. I'm not sure when he's arrived. We'll see what kind of circumstances he is facing. But ACDIPUV on his rack now. And once again for Wellington, there's one play that is significantly higher than other options in terms of a sheer valuation. And generally, when I see Wellington get these puzzle type turns where there's just one option, he plays it in like 8 seconds. But I think in this instance, he's looking to try to find a different option that helps him shape the board in a way he likes. The standout option is the 6-letter up dive to the E in Hakea for 26, holding AC. Seems to be much better than anything else. But do you think this is a juncture where Wellington tries to shape the board a little bit, tries to address the hot spots on the right side of the board? Or what do you think's going on here, Jesse?
Yeah, so this is the first play that is not an auto click for him. And I mean, the advantage of him playing so fast on prior turns is that he has ample time to consider exactly what he wants to do. You've seen him consider advice. I don't know if he's seen updive yet, but I would expect him to see that. But yeah, I mean, 36 points is not a massive lead. So when you want to be defensive, you have to be careful that you don't make it possible for your opponent simply to just speed by you. But he is choosing to apply some defensive pressure and play Viced, which blocks the rightmost row of the board. Or it blocks big 6-tile plays or even bingos that would hook he and AR. And it also just totally stifles the bottom left quadrant. So Chris can now still bingo if he can. Mostly it'll be airmail bingos that go underneath the U on row 9 and give back a ton of counterplay. So that if he bingos there, it's about face values, 60, 65 points. And then Wellington could easily score 50 in response on the triple word score. So I now that I see it on the board, I really like it. I don't know that I would have seen it myself. Or updive is the traditionally best play simply because it leaves better letters. Keeping the U is quite bad, AU is not a great combo, but Wellington chooses to sacrifice some equity for the defensive value, and it makes a lot of sense.
In the absence of updive last turn, that was a very challenging turn with a lot of mediocre options. I wonder if that was an oversight on Wellington or a tactical decision to seize control over the board. In either case, it's the play he's made, and that U has led to trouble. AAPRTUW, the rack now for Wellington, and points are available, but there's no way to score points and drop both the WU together. Although he does have a 37 pointer lying hidden in this mess of a board.
Oh, he's going to spot this, no problem. And so many points. And it even, when he plays Pawa, which is a kind of fish, I believe, ARTU is actually not so far away from a bingo. So he's navigated that volatility of the APU leave pretty nicely. And it looks like he has a way out.
Yeah, Chris with an interesting decision last turn. We didn't touch on it much, but he held I think double R's there. ORF also played last turn, but he opted to take additional points there and left a pretty clunky leave. And he's now in a little bit of trouble based on off of that decision. So Pawa spotted by Wellington, as we thought. 11 equity points higher than the next best option. You shouldn't spend much more time on those turns in these instances. So Wellington again playing quickly. We're back over to Chris Light. HILNRRS, the rack for the American. And this turn's going to be a frustrating one for him. It just doesn't look like there's any play that's good, like at all. Perhaps NIRL through the eye and viced. Quackle suggests HURL for 7. There's just not much to be done on this turn.
Right. This is the key turn for Chris to see if he's going to remain competitive in this game going forward or not. He has to figure out a plan of attack. This is part of the reason Chris's position got so rough is kind of a direct consequence of vice going down. So you see the value of Wellington investing in this board blocking play because it's left Chris with very few options. So Chris needs to find a way to open things up. He's not down too far, actually. 63 points is still one bingo down. And he has an S, and the Hakea hook is open and could be very high scoring, conceivably, if he could bingo and make Hakeas. He's also got a second lane, which is through the U, or a 7-letter word under the U. And when you're trailing like that, it's important to keep multiple lanes open, because if there's a single lane, a tactical player or a strategic player like Wellington will simply crush the lanes, and then you will literally have no way of coming back. So Chris doesn't want to mess with what he has too much. I quite like Hurl, which you mentioned, through the U, simply because Hurl opens a third bingo lane. You can now hook Hurl and play an S across, or SH is a word. So now 7-letter bingos go down on column G, or whatever we call that, making SH. And all of a sudden, it's going to be very hard after Hurl for Wellington to block everything. The downside is it scores 7 points, and you obviously want more than that. But I like this pick by Chris. He has stealthily quite a few paths back to victory now, so this is good.
Yeah, Neural through the eye and viced sets up the S as well, but this sets up the S in so many different places that it can't be thwarted in one fell swoop by Wellington, who already looks to be trying to play defense as he has a lead. So I think Hurl actually the best play to give Chris some long-term life in this game. Keep the chances of a comeback alive as long as possible. You can't get walled in against somebody as good as Wellington Jageri. Wellington, AEIRTTU, and I love when players draw racks like this on stream. I'm so excited that Wellington's drawn a rack like this, because these are the really difficult turns. Fishing makes a ton of sense, but Wellington doesn't have the tiles to bingo on this board. The S unlocks so many possibilities. he's going to have to split the difference now. How many points do I take now? How flexible do I keep myself? Should I set myself up or keep things tight? And it looks like he's opting to play UT here, 12 points, one of the higher scoring options available, keeping himself reasonably flexible as well, and knocking out the big hurls hook that I think he's implied Chris has after that play. What
Although
do you think of this, Jeff?
Chris can actually still bingo there now. He can make ST ending bingos. He can play runniest or furniest, which is a nice bonus. But yeah, Wellington's spot there is kind of a classic where you have a lead. All of a sudden, you get close to bingo and you say, "Okay, do I fish for a bingo or do I keep trying to play defense here? Do I just try to outrun?" And he kind of chose a bit of an intermediate option with UT and Lux, which I think was pretty smart because that AEIRT lead is very potent. So for Chris here, when you're trying to pull off a comeback, he's down 68, so it's not that far. But one of my lessons, or one of my goals when trying to pull off a big comeback, is you always want to bingo at the least probable spot first, because if you're going to need multiple bingos, you want to make the subsequent bingos easier to get down. So right now, the most unlikely spot or the hardest spot to hit is that hurls and ST bingo spot. So I think he's going to throw down furniest or runniest. I don't particularly care which one he puts down. But that brings him level. I mean, the one thing to think about as Chris here also is that Wellington just played 2 tiles. So he has bingo tiles. So I think Chris is probably thinking about, how do I bingo so that I don't give Wellington back a bingo so that I'm just down 60 points again? But there's enough spots on this board that I think he's just got to play the bingo and hope that Wellington missed, which we're about to find out if he missed or not.
Yeah, great breakdown there from Jesse Day, and I nailed it. We'll point out that 7 additional points were available to Chris at the bottom, unrisen, and Hakea's was 7 extra points, 79 over 72. That is quite the sacrifice, but as Jesse said, you want to create as many lines as possible and keep the comeback alive. You want to take the lane that's hardest to hit, and that's what Chris has done here, though he's strung up 5 floaters for Wellington after a 2-tile fish. Unbelievably, Wellington has missed. No playable bingos for Wellington on this turn.
That's a huge
another fun position.
Wow. So this is a good lesson. It's easy to be pessimistic there and say that, oh, I'm guaranteed to give my opponent a bingo. But yeah, the tiles have fallen into place for Chris, and he's not going to get immediately smacked with another bingo. Maybe unrisen, I did not see that, and that might have been worth the 6 extra points. And it wouldn't have given back any 8s. So, okay, where are we going with this?
ROATE 21, the play here, and Wellington saying, you know what, I can't get caught up doing this right now. I'm still in the driver's seat in this game. Yes, I'm down 4, but it's my turn. I'm going to score. Let me just shut things off. I'm not going to get caught up fishing. I don't want to, if I draw the bingo, I win. And if I miss the bingo, I lose. I'd rather beat you on skill. I'm Wellington. And I love this play. Wow. I love this decision.
I did not see that coming. That's a massively stylistic. It just immediately, flawlessly reverts to close board mode. I'm going to outgrind you, as you said. This is really cool to see. Chris does have a pretty nice scoring play up that I wonder if he's got in mind. So Hurl takes a T in front, and he can just play Jot and Thurls and go up about 15 and keep a pretty strong lead. That jumps out to me, but he needs to have seen the Thurl hook. Maybe he had it in mind when he played Hurl in the first place, but it's not necessarily the most obvious hook, or it may not be a direction that he was looking at the time.
Yeah, I think Jot, once you see, or if you see that Thurl Hook is the standout option here. EGIN, we say this all the time on stream. You think that ING is a great combo, and it's kind of a trap, especially on a board where ING bingos don't fit like this one. So it's not as strong a leave as you might think, but JOT just in general is such a strong play. It closes the board, it pulls you ahead, and keeps a great leave. I think there's very little to think about, assuming you see that. Jot's got to be the play here.
Right. If he doesn't see it, then he's got a tougher journey on his hands, and the clock is also ticking on him a bit. That would be the nice thing about Jot. It would be clearly so much better than anything else that he's generated that he would just play it. So failing that, he's going to have to decide, do I fish off a couple of tiles? Well, the board is so closed that fishing is not great. Right now, the last blank is going to be very important. Also, drawing an S for the Hakeas spot. There's two more S's. So actually, this is a spot where he shouldn't be very fishy in theory. I think he should opt for more tile turnover in general. But to be candid, I do not see how to actually make that happen very easily.
Here's how to make it happen.
I see.
Jointure, if you're really going for turnover, if you think the
Ooh.
S is the key to this game, and I kind of do, Jointure scores 32 and turns over 6 tiles. So if you don't want to play Jot, you want to turn over letters, that's, I think, the way to do it. It exists.
That's really cool. I mean, it would be hard for him because it opens a triple word score on what is currently a dead board. So he's kind of just feeding free points to Wellington if he does it. But it could be a smart gamble going for that last blanker S. He's doing it. No,
He's playing
he's not
Jointure.
doing it. Oh, interesting.
Similar idea, but sliding this slightly over would be a better option. That GT combination might find some trouble for him, and that exposed triple word. I feel like Wellington scores 40 often after this play. So Joiner, an intriguing
Right.
decision from Chris. FIIMORR is what Wellington's got to respond. And as juicy as that spot is, not a great option here for Wellington. It looks like just MIR as a stack play will be his best counter.
Right.
That was an interesting.
Chris gets lucky again. He dodged the second bullet. We'll see how many more of them he can dodge, because that could have. I mean, the Q and the X are gone, so it's not as bad as it could be. The K is gone as well, but still, this could have been an autopilot 40-point play. And still, Wellington doesn't have to think about this too much. Actually, I really like how he left Prof after doing this. That means he's thinking about drawing one of the remaining O's. There's 5 O's or 4 O's unseen to him. So he's thinking about keeping Prof trying to draw an O. He doesn't know that Chris has 2 of them, but he's thinking about trying to draw Proof, which is just a huge scoring play overlapping Joe and OF. So I suspect he had that in mind as. He does not. Oh, that is funny.
Yeah, I think he had an I instead of a P, but he kept ROF. The F's still powerful for this spot, though not quite as powerful as the PROF would be.
That is so funny. I'm trying to figure out what I was looking at on my screen. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, so Chris did go into the bag. I think that was the plan after Joiner, just turn over a bunch, and he did find one of those 2 S's, a big draw for Chris, although some garbage to go with it, a bunch of O's and a G and a U, and he's just going to jettison all that right away. Out go for 21 the play, and Wellington, DEFILOR, has been given a bingo by Chris's board opening play. It is an underwhelming pointer, but Wellington to bingo here, I expect.
Yeah, fluoride definitely would be surprised if I guess Chris used all of his lives, because he does have a way back, which is that he drew the S for the Hakea's hook. So that is kind of the purpose of the turnover heavy strategy that he's adopted the last couple of turns. But if Wellington, I'm starting to get nervous here already, but if Wellington finds fluoride, then he's going to be at a significant advantage for sure. And
Yeah,
Chris doesn't have so much time. He needs to get through the B, through the V, but the game is kind of entering its later phases, so this is going to be tough for him.
I think that time factor, another small reason that Wellington opted to just play ROATE with a huge time advantage. I think he feels a tight end game works to his advantage often.
Yes.
So here it comes, fluoride. I've learned, do not ever even say out loud, has Wellington seen this? Of course he's seen it. He's just taking his time. He's not going to miss it. And fluoride comes down 64 points, and he will pull back ahead. As Jesse said, Chris has maybe used up all of his lives in this game as he finally gets punished with fluoride. ABIOOSV. He still has opportunities, especially if Wellington leaves S blank in the bag.
Absolutely. You can't give up here. Being down 60 is tough, but not insurmountable. And the problem is that you really want to get rid of both the B and the V here as best you can, but there's not super obvious ways of doing that. There's a beautiful word, ovibos, in here, which is some kind of a stew, I believe. That's a classic BV cleanup word, but it would also cache as S. Vocab. That looks like the way. That's 26. But the downside of vocab is that there's kind of one spot to bingo on the board. And vocab actually just kind of is the same lane that's already open. It makes it easier for Wellington to block everything. I'm thinking oboe at the top. That was the first thing that came to mind. Or yes, I think oboe could be something, because while it gives back a cheap triple word score, it does open another bingo lane. So you have two pretty strong bingo lanes at that point. You're at the mercy of the tiles, but that's, in this situation, that's the best you can do a lot of the time. What else does he have? He has buai at the overlapping out go, but the problem with that, or any other scoring play anywhere else on the board, is just that it doesn't really open new opportunities, and it's very vulnerable to Wellington just blocking the Hakea's pluralization.
Yeah, while this play of vocab looks awesome, it sets up the S. Yeah, it's so weak because there's precisely one thing to do. You've got to make a play up near the top of the board, create this line and this line. This play sort of does that. The bingos exist now from the B, Buai, but Wellington's post bingo draw was incredible. And any decision Chris was going to make there was going to backfire when Wellington has a rack this good. DEGINST, the post bingo draw for Wellington, and he's going to bingo once again here and put this one away.
Yeah, for newer players, this is in the wheelhouse of, or Wellington's rack is in the wheelhouse of what we'd call stem bingos, just things that it has a very common set of letters, EGINST, in it. And when people start down the studying road, they'll learn all of the 7 and 8 letter words that include those letters. So this is the wheelhouse of any competitive Scrabble player. What's interesting is this unhesitating placement, foregoing many points. He could have played Nidgets, NIDGETS, and Hakeas, and he has immediately rejected that because Nidgets would give back a huge potential triple word score bingo, which could be 100 plus points. So it's kind of an uncapped amount of points for Chris on offer. And he has played Dingiest, blocking the B bingos, but saying, hey, do you want a bingo making Hakeas? That's fine with me. You're not going to outrun me. You're down 97 points. You cannot score enough with bingos there. So this is another example of Wellington's artistry on display, with just controlling the risk really
And
masterful
the
risk management.
artistry of tile drawing also on display as another incredible draw for Wellington, ADENTW blank. I do think
Oh,
that Dingy's play came very quickly. Nidget's, for 10 extra points, it gives back a lot, but with one unseen S, you can assume Chris has a lot of the time. That spot is just going to sit there. I presume Wellington thinks that a play with ITA is going to come through and block that often enough. But he did that very fast.
right. He had already calculated, or he had already decided strategically that it was more important to block that he couldn't really afford to take bingos on that second to last row because of how much it was going to give back. It's yeah, it's always a question. Risk management is all about how much do I trade off in the short term for long term advantage, and I think you've seen Wellington display on multiple times this game with Vice, with Dingius, that he's willing to trade off quite a lot, which is a hallmark of the Nigerian defensive strategy. And if anything, I would say North America is something we optimize for insufficiently. It's kind of a function of the tools at our disposal. We look at Quackle all day, and Quackle just doesn't really price a lot of those long-term effects in. And Wellington is asserting kind of that there's a different way to play Scrabble effectively that's a bit more strategic and future-minded. Oh, this is really cool. Oh, I should have paid more attention to what Chris is up to here. This is very interesting. Although it's going to end in pain, I suspect, but this is really cool.
Yeah, so just BE setting up his O and saying, hey,
Ooh,
if
and
I
he
draw
drew
a
it.
turn, what Volgos?
Volges, Voulges. It's some kind of a sword or something like that. And he has 2 spots for it, so he's
Oh,
guaranteed a bingo.
yeah, guaranteed to bingo. Wellington will still win. So even in the best case scenario for Chris Light, where he drew the bingo that plays in both spots, Wellington can outrun this, but he's got to make sure he plays this correctly. You either need to score so much that you outrun the higher scoring option on the top, or you need to take that away. So the best way for Wellington to do that would just be A, B, E, D for 27. But what a pull from Chris, and what a gambit, dropping the B, leaving one in the bag.
Very cool. I think Wellington should probably burn the O and score as much as possible with it, because there's just one tile in the bag. So I think maybe he'd play something like, Wanted. He already set it up. Wanted, WONTED, making OBE in the process. And then even though Chris's nice strategic flourish there will yield him a bingo and cut spread, Wellington is still comfortably going to win at the end of the day. An interesting question is, could Chris's stratagem ever have worked? And I think for it to work, he would have had to draw the blank out of the bag, in which case he would have EGL OSV blank. And I believe he would have had the last O. So actually that spot on the top row would have been, unblockable. Wellington could still play a bed or something like that. So I don't know if Chris's play ever could have worked, but it is a spread minimization strategy, because he also could have drawn lovages. I have no idea how to pronounce that. So he could have drawn an A or a U from his perspective. So it's Chris's play is at minimum a spread minimization tactic here, where he kind of guarantees a bingo with a couple of good draws. And you never know what your opponent's going to do. It's possible even for the best players to lose their minds and allow or play fake words or play phony twos. Who knows? So he gave himself a chance, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, it was a fun gambit. And with 3 minutes left, maybe he didn't think to go through the math. He just took a shot and, hey, if this works out, that'd be awesome. A very creative play from Chris, but Wellington with the blank able to knock it out. This is definitely his best sequence here at WONTED. So he puts that down, 45 points, and is going to cede the out bingo to Chris. Vosges the play. And I'm trying to get everything updated. 76 for the out bingo, collecting all the points off Wellington's rack. That's going to make this 436 for Wellington, 378 for Chris after the out bingo. That was a fun one after all that. Wellington, I think, made some very interesting mid-game decisions and ended up hitting the bingo bango fluoride dingiest to run away with this one. But neat. That was a fun one. I think we've got the ability to interview players today. And so we're going to cut over and grab a quick interview with Wellington, ask his thoughts on just a couple of those turns. We're going to let them get their paperwork in order before we do that. But if there's a question or two from chat that we want to ask about a pivotal turn, Jesse and I will look over and try to relay some of those questions over to Wellington as we can. Let us know, and we'll do what we can in that interview. But I think this is a fun feature. Kudos to Josh Greenway for putting this together. He's got headsets on standby for these players at the board. Jesse, what are your thoughts? Big analysis from this game.
I thought it was a perfect showcase of Wellington's unique, distinct champion style. I want to see more of it. I love it. Yeah, give me more.
Give me more Wellington, I think, is kind of the consensus from all of us here, and there will be plenty more Wellington. With the win here, he'll bump up to 6-2. He'll at least leap over Chris Leip in the standings and perhaps more. Wellington's not going anywhere. 27 rounds. I bet he'll be on the stream for several more of them, and I'm excited for it. I think I see from chat asking about Viced versus Updive. Did he see Updive and opt out of it to control the board? And then the ROATE turn, I think, is one that fascinated both of the commentators in the booth. So I'd like to hear his thoughts and kind of philosophical approach there.
Yes, I agree. Do we get Chris as well? Is it one of those things where we just talk to the victor?
We have that ability, but I decided just kind of for stylistic purposes, we're usually just going to interview the winner of games.
Sure.
But if there's a super cool one, we can interview both players.
Yeah, it's the worst kind of commentary where you just grab the loser and you're like, hey, why did you miss this? Do you feel bad enough yet? Do you? So, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got Wellington now grabbing the headset, and this is going to be a good one. Oh, Wellington, can you hear me all right?
No, not yet.
Wellington, can you hear us all right? Sound check.
Still working.
All right. How's this?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, so that was a really fun game for us to watch, Wellington. Thanks again for the display. Super cool stuff, and some frustrating draws mid-game, but then the bingo bango late of Fluoride and Dingiest. That was a fun one to watch. What was kind of your thought process on this roller coaster of a game where you were behind early and fought back?
I don't think I was really behind that much at any point in the game. It was more like I was ahead initially, and then he pulled back in with Ronniest, and it was just ding dong until I came up with Fluoride and Dingiest. So it was. I was only scared when I was leading, and my hand wasn't, my racks weren't too palatable. But I was just hoping that at least the most palatable open square as a den was going to open some hotspots for me when he finally is able to utilize them. So I was only bothered that maybe I might not be able to utilize such spots when they are eventually open.
Yeah. That you touched on the defense there and how tight the board was, and you expected him to open a spot for you. We think all of that comes down to one very cool decision you made. That was the play of Viced, Viced, holding APU. Can you tell us a little bit more about that turn and how you approached it?
Basically, at that point, I played vice. I think naturally a better move would probably have been advice, but vice was more of a defensive play because it shuts down so many lanes on the board. The lane of the triple lane for front of Zestia was constrained and all that, and it didn't give up any smooth sailing lanes unless someone had an S that to hook to Hakias. So I think that was basically the reason behind me going for Vice as against Advice.
Yeah, so
Right.
Viced over Advice to control the board. Yeah, Jesse, go ahead.
Hey, Wellington, this is Jesse. This was a treat to watch. Really enjoyed it. Um, yeah, then at the end of the game, that Hakea's lane came up again because you unhesitatingly played dingiest and just told Chris, you can have the Hakea's lane, but I am not going to bingo. You could have played Nidgets and Hakea's for more points. I'm sure you saw it, and you
Yeah.
immediately decided to pass up the 10 points. Tell me what your thinking was there.
The fun thing about playing Hakias was that it opened an express triple lane, which wasn't, except the score difference was that's really significant. I think I would choose Dingiest over Midgets any day.
Yeah, and you did it without hesitating, which is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
10-point sacrifice wouldn't come naturally to everyone, but you didn't even think about it twice.
yeah. Especially since the game was in control as at that point in time. If I was pulling from behind to switch ahead, I probably would have chosen to get the extra 10 points. But since I was already leading at that point in time and I was playing to consolidate on the lead, I think the decision would always be dingiest for me.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
were we were just so impressed that you. I mean, we think it's the correct decision too. Great board controlling play and just wasting no time making an expert decision. It was impressive. We had one other play that we wanted to talk to you about because we think so many players at home can learn from it, and it's how you responded to the bingo of Runniest. You were holding AEIORRT. Were not given any of the floaters you needed to bingo after your two tile fish,
Yeah.
and you opted to play ROATE for 21. So, for those at home trying to learn this game, tell us about how you navigated that turn on a position where I think many players would opt to fish.
As a matter of principle, I generally do not like fishing. But if I am constrained to fish, most of the times I don't like doing it more than a ton or maximum 2 tons. So from the way the game was, up until that point in time, the game was relatively cagey, and we were playing it as such. But the immediate turn before that, I fished 2 ties, hoping that if he plays a bingo out, I should be able to respond. But when he did that, I didn't want to get trapped in the circle of fishing and then having no bingo and then having to fish again. So I didn't. It was just to avoid getting trapped in that vicious circle that I decided to go for routes instead.
Yes, and we think it was a wonderful play and a great way to navigate through some challenging mid-game racks and intermediate decisions. Wellington putting on a clinic again in this game, a bit of a roller coaster, but he stayed steady and comes away with a victory over Chris Lipe. Wellington, thank you for your time in the interview. I know we will see plenty more of you on this stream over the 27-game tournament, and we look forward to the continued display of skill. Thanks for your time. And
Thank you.
with that, we'll set you free.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wellington.
And I'm getting trying to check in with our production team. I imagine we'll take just a brief little break, but if the players are ready, we may just jump right into it. I'll keep everybody informed. I'm not yet aware of what the next matchup will be or who's going to be on it. All right, seeing we're not quite ready, so we'll cut to just a very brief intermission, but do not turn off the stream because our next game, Will Anderson and Austin Shin. Don't turn off the stream. You can't miss that one. We're going to cut for just a moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. The players are situated and ready to go. Matt Canik and Jesse Day are going to waste no time before we bring you over to the board and the action, where we have Will Anderson and Austin Shin, a battle of the streamers. And I'm excited for this one. Jesse, give us a brief scouting report on Austin and Will. 30 seconds or less. Go.
Oh, boy. Okay, last game was pretty defensive minded. These guys are unabashedly offense first. Austin Shin's tagline, scoring never stops. Will Anderson, no slouch of his own. You're going to see fireworks appropriate for the day after the 4th of July.
You're going to see fireworks. Your dogs are going to be traumatized once again as we are underway. Come on, it's 2024. Let's just do drone shows. Do we need to blow stuff up? Anyway, Austin underway. Austin to play first. AACRW. So the scoring's probably going to stop on this turn. And an S in there as well. AACERSW, the full rack. This is a fun one. Caw, Aw, WAAC. Each of those are reasonable options. Jesse, what do you think about this turn?
I think the C is going down because for 6 extra points, the C is a wonderful bingo tile in conjunction with 1-pointers. So ACERS is very potent, but 6 points, scoring never stops. Too juicy. Got to do it.
Yeah, right. One of those fringe decisions right on the edge. If Austin draws a bunch of vowels here, he's going to feel like he did it wrong. But if he draws a bingo, he's going to be happy to have 6 extra points before he gets into it. Just marginal decision there. Could go either way. And over now to Will, ILMNTUY. And that play of caw is really going to limit the options available to Will. He's looking to shed both the U and the Y at the same time if possible. What options do you see here, Jesse?
Right. So this is another benefit of getting a blocker down on the opening play, like caw, making Will's life a little harder. Will almost has an untimely draw. If he had an E open, failing that, he has actually quite a tough decision. So this is good from Austin. He made Will's life a little harder. You can see from that facial expression that there's nothing obvious to do here. I think I don't see anything all that wonderful, so this is good. I think you're going to want to do something that keeps the INT and plays off. Lint is tolerable. Actually, even some of the Y combos here, like Inly, are not the worst in the world, but you can't underlap anything. So Will's really doing the full acting theater of, geez, what a tough decision I have on my hands. I think
this is a very tough decision.
You could do Mincy through the C, but that's gives up the triple word score, which you really don't want to do if you can at all avoid it, because it's just a lot of free points on an otherwise dead board. And when the board is dead, there's a significant penalty to making it undead. So you probably want to keep making things tight. He could play Yaman through the A, YAMUN, or Yaman. But yeah, that might be the least offensive option. ILT is manageable, doesn't really open a ton. I think that could be what Will goes with. I'm not saying it's the right play, but a culty is interesting. Also 11 points, but keeps a manageable IMN. Actually, the IMN leave is quite nice after culty, but it does give back a little bit more in terms of free plays. It would actually give back no. Sorry, I was misreading Austin's rack. Never mind that. Culty is manageable and could also be what Will does, but it would give back the triple word score. So this is pretty tough. I think Will's taking an appropriate amount of time here to deliberate. And this is the kind of play where you
see.
Yeah, but keeping that U is pretty gnarly. I would get rid of the U if there's any way to do it. Even Yulan, you could do UN or YUAN. Yeah, this is pretty bad.
This is a brutal first turn. Welcome back to the stream, Will. Last time we saw you here, you were beating Wellington in a best of 7, and now you've got a really brutal first turn. This is one of those you just sit there, scratch your head, and think there must be a better option. I'm just not seeing it, right? But no, this is a painful position. Simulation with a random rack has MYC on top by about 1.5 points, but you can't assume a random rack. I think caw infers bingo prone stuff a lot, especially with the relative speed with which it was played. I think it implies an S a decent amount of the time as well. I don't know. This is a tough turn, and it looks like Will's going to opt to play the Simelin. CYMLIN here, just TU. He's going to score a lot with this play, and that I is not very dangerous where he's put it. I think that's a fine thing to do. Just try to turn over some tiles, but UT together, really like to get rid of that U if you can. Those points, though, are going to be nice for Will, as leads 18-16, but Austin with a great pull into his AERS leave is going to be go for quite a bit here. 82 points available with a number of different options, pluralizing Will's previous play.
Yeah, I think I like this from Will, and it's acceptable simply because it scores a lot more than he was going to score. TU, and that said, TU and opening the board wide open, kind of not great. I can see why I went with that option. From Austin's perspective, he could have thrown something down relatively quickly. It's a question of whether he wants to play Simlins. He knows that Will's rack is pretty random, so Will could easily show up here with a power tile, and if Austin bingos on the second to bottom row and opens the triple word score and the double letter score, he could get zapped for 90 points. I think earless is the right idea here, where it will hook in front, but it doesn't give back so many points immediately. I think this is what he should do.
Earless is a play that definitely is correct in the vacuum and all that, but to make this play, you must be 100% sure on all of the front hooks to earless. These guys are both word machines, and I'm certain it's not a factor in this game. But when faced with decisions like this, if you have a lot of different words to play for the same score, make sure you play one whose hooks so you don't end up losing a turn later on in the game gambling on it. Earless, I think he has to play for Austin here, 82 points, although it does fork the board in a way that he's probably not eager to do, especially with ST and SH options going that way. That's going to be a pesky line that sits there for a while if he makes this earless play, though I don't think it's ever correct to play one of the 7-letter bingos in this spot. You just don't need to expose the triple. So earless is indeed the play from Austin. 82 points. The scoring has not stopped. It is 98-18, and Will into his TU has found TU and some other garbage. DIPTTUU, the rack for Will. He does have a nice option to bail his way out of this, and he's got a front hook to earless as well. He's got a number of good plays here despite the inflexible rack. Jesse, of these options, which one do you like more and why?
Phew. Yes, we are getting exactly what we hope to get, which is a volcanic, wild encounter. They're gonna score many, many points over the next few turns. So I'm pretty excited. Tit-up is very nice. I think it's going to be hard for him not to block the earless front hooks because they're just very prominent. Either with something like putt, although DIU is quite dreadful. That's also the problem with playing tit-up here, is that it leaves DU. So 2-2 is sort of appealing, but it's so many fewer points. You don't want to get fixated on one single goal of just playing off all the U's, because he can't do that. But to do it, he has to score 23, whereas he could just score 35 and endure having a U. So for 12 points, you should keep that U. I think it's going to be very hard for him not to block the earless hook. Just good knowing Will, I think he's quite conscientious about blocking hotspots, and indeed, that is what he's chosen to do.
Yeah, a number of different options played using the tierless hook. Putt or PUTTI if he wants to sacrifice 3 points to get rid of that I. 2-2 also plays in this spot. Which spot does he take, the left or right side, and with which word? That was a tough turn, but Will opting to score as many points as he can right now. PUTT, but the leave DIU finds him some trouble as he's found more vowels into it. And Austin has found no trouble at all. EHIJNO blank, his post bingo draw, and has the valid 7-letter Johnny set up on his rack already with a number of opportunities to play it. 2 different lines, and he's also got an 8-letter bingo available on this turn, which I won't say just yet so people can flex in the chat.
Oh, the 8-letter bingo is gorgeous. Okay, and of course, Chad already found it. What you guys are overachievers. One step ahead. Demi John, half John, which I believe is some kind of a vessel.
I think it's a wine vessel.
So Austin could have gone with Johnny over JA and making OW, but he is fearless. He slaps down the 88-point option. And if it leaves a triple word score spot, then too bad, because he's getting his points in right now. I think it may end up making Will's life easier, because now he can just slap down YOU for 40 points, leaving DEEI. And what looked like a bad rack is going to start to head for Bingo Town again. So that's actually going to be a welcome sight for Will. Well, as welcome as it can be, given that he just got an 84-point bingo scored him. Sorry, go ahead.
The scoring's not going to stop. Austin's just drawn a Hag Road, which plays here and in other lines as well. So Austin's just going to bingo 3 times in a row. Wow.
Oh, not only does it fit on the left, it fits with the earless hook that he set up for himself. He can make SH and Hag Road. So he is just just laying waste, and he's spotted the bingo. He's got it lined up. There's a nice 8-letter bingo in Austin's rack with an E for if you want to challenge yourself in Chad. Wow, that went horribly wrong. In chat, if you want to challenge yourself. But yes, U goes down, so Will probably feels like he's starting to gain some measure of equilibrium, or he's starting to at least head somewhat towards a bingo, but he's about to get vaporized by Austin here.
Yeah, so yesterday was a holiday, and this round is also going to be a holiday for both of these players. After Hag Road for 104 comes down, I think there's going to be very little left for either player to think about except spread in this game. This happens in Scrabble sometimes, and it's a bummer. I wouldn't count out Will Anderson ever, but sometimes you just get bingo, bango, bongoed, and the smile on his face says it all. The nod, yep, that's Scrabble. That's how it is, baby. 104 for Austin Shin, 290 points after 4 plays for Austin Shin. And Will, in addition to getting bingoed on, got more vowels because Scrabble. So, Jesse, what do you do here? Do you even try to open lines, or do you just make brain-dead equity plays and get out of this room as soon as you can?
Ask not for whom the scoring stops, because it might stop for the... to actually answer your question, really, the most important thing in a long tournament like this is just not to tilt. You can kind of tell that Will's already moved on and accepted that this probably just is not his encounter. I mean, being down 198 points, your spread is actually relevant, so you don't want to seethe and hemorrhage a ton of points trying to realize an impossible comeback here. You just want to make solid, standard equity plays the rest of the way. So this is actually an important time for Will, in the sense that he has to get his mental composure right, and he'll want to feel sharp. You don't want to be losing by 200 and then miss a bunch of stuff, because it'll make you start to question going forward whether whether you're on your A game or not. And he kind of just needs to compartmentalize what's happening here, just make one good play at a time. So I actually think these situations are quite important in their own unique way when they do come up. With that said, I actually don't know what he should play here, but and he doesn't seem to know either, given I feel like his facial expressions have been very expressive today. I've been enjoying this. Well, not enjoying the fact that he's losing, but yeah.
I think maybe one option, if you do want to try to win this game, perhaps, is to play Jeune. Just open this double line, this one's still open. You've got the cause hooks. Just keep this board as dynamic as possible and open up a million different places where you might score 100 on a Hail Mary. That makes some sense. Or equity, just EMEU through the M makes some sense. But unfortunately, when you're down this much, you need to take a bunch of points this turn and just hope you get lucky next turn to catch up. And there's no way to score a bunch of points at a DEEEINU. It's rough.
Yeah, you shouldn't block. I mean, that's the other possible extreme is you say, oh, I don't want my opponent to win by 300. And you shouldn't do that. You should leave the door open for a miraculous comeback should it choose to manifest itself. I think I like I like Jeune or Jeune from the J. It's pretty decent, opens a double word score. It doesn't really block much of anything. That might be my play of choice here. And Will's, apparently.
All right, right on cue, he drops it down. After I explain it, you concur with it. Will drops it down, a clinic on how to lose a game by 200 from Will, I suppose.
In style. With aplomb.
Yeah, yes, exactly. AGLSSTV. So unfortunately for Austin, there will not be 4 straight bingos, but he's still in commanding position in this game, 290 to 106. The V is a wonderful tile to draw when you're winning by a lot, because you can use it to pulverize a whole bunch of lanes at the same time, as it's the only tile that doesn't make any 2-letter words and can't be overlapped. So probably going to look to cash in that V in some way, perhaps just like VAGS, and start shutting this board down. Anything else you would do here, you would think about, or would you just start playing defense, Jesse?
Yeah, these games or these positions are pretty interesting strategically as someone with a huge lead, because you play quite differently. Or I mean, he could choose just to play equity, but if you think there's a chance you're going to be caught up, you actually start prioritizing things like blocking huge spots or blocking the biggest spots, not even necessarily the most probable. And then also just turning over tiles so that the game ends faster and you don't give your opponent enough rope to come back. I would think something like Valgus here through the U, for instance, for 20 points. Blocks double doubles, plays 5 tiles. I haven't seen Austin line that up on his rack yet. It probably doesn't matter, realistically, from a winning chances perspective. If he plays Vags, that's also very blocky. And it turns over 4 tiles, which is pretty good. Galvo, kind of similar thing, turns over 4 tiles. Doesn't really do all that much. I guess it kind of gums up the works a bit. I think I would pick Valgus personally. But Austin could also be thinking from a tournament perspective, spread is an important tiebreaker at the end in the standings. So he might be thinking about, how do I score even more and try to... because he's not that far from a bingo, so he might be thinking very aggressively about, like, I want to keep the possibility of more bingos open. Yeah, so this is a nice idea here. It's very similar to Valgus. And he has an S, and he keeps that S hook of SCAWs open while blocking a bunch of 7-letter bingo potentiality on Jeune. So I think this is the smart balance between, I like what he's done here between keeping the door open for more bingos if he draws them, but also turning over a bunch of tiles to get the game done with.
Yeah, just splitting the difference, keeping it so if I draw something good, there's a spot for it yet. And also I'm going to limit just the worst case scenarios if you draw those. Great decision there from Austin. And Will, of course, after playing the U, immediately draws the Q. So he's got to jettison that. Equid for 34 going to be the play for Will, and that seems to be correct. And talking about drawing good stuff, that is indeed what Austin has done. He's found another 7-letter bingo on this turn, and the scoring once again will not stop. So Austin looks to bingo again, the 7-letter Deweyist.
It is everything we promised it would be, and I am frankly enjoying it. But I got to say that Will has some power tiles of his own, so it's kind of a fun contest, fun quote unquote contest for yourself in these scenarios. Can I still get to 400? I mean, Austin is probably on track for like a 500 plus, maybe a 6 if he can pull the second blank or something like that. But in Will's shoes, it feels kind of satisfying when you're like, well, I still made it to 400. It's like I kept the spread under 200 points. Not in a vacuum, things you would be proud about, but given what's happened here, I suspect he's happy to see a couple power tiles so he can bring the damage down to a minimum.
There's 2 places to play Deweyist. How much brain power do we spend dissecting which one Austin should play here, as it'll put him ahead by 230?
Well, I would just do whichever one scores more points.
That would be the vertical 73 pointer as opposed to the 72 pointer here. So that's what Austin is deliberating now. There are just the 2 bingos, no 8s available for him. It's nice to have to make these decisions in this situation. This is a tough decision. Where do I play the bingo? But when you add in the extra wrinkle that the bingo will put me ahead by 230, the stakes on this decision become way lower if you get it wrong. So
yeah, I just want to tell Austin here, I want to get on his headset and just be like, Austin, doesn't really matter, man. Like, save your energy. But fair enough that he's still trying to optimize. Respect for that. I mean, I'm usually in that camp myself, but in this case, this is the more defensive option. Doesn't give a lot of 8s back. It makes perfect sense. So good job, Austin.
All right, so Will's probably going to stack AXE to the right side of that play, or perhaps play ZEA above tierless in the bottom left. With 5 unseen O's, I don't actually know that Will's going to play AXE here. He's just going to get destroyed with XO next turn. So he'll have to figure out how to cash in the goodies. But thankfully, Will has found tiles that are reasonable enough that I'm no longer concerned about him scoring 300 this game like I was last turn.
Yeah, these are fun racks when you have multiple power tiles. A lot of times it's about you find your best play with each of the power tiles, and then you think, well, is there anything like really sick that I could draw into if I keep this power tile for another turn? I don't really see anything like that. Actually, the X doesn't play super well on this board, but the Z does. So he's chosen to just cash in the Z, which makes perfect sense. And yeah, that AXE play, Axe, we, EX, DA. The problem with that is XO and Collins, EXO, as you indicated, where a lot of times Austin is just going to score 40, 50 points with very little effort. So yeah, Zaya makes sense. Hope to draw something with the X and then salvage whatever spread you can.
And so Austin got another big play lined up. He had set up the 6-letter karate on his rack, Karate. He's got some other really interesting options on this turn as well. A lot of kind of boring ones too. So just KAT is kind of the boring play if you want to try to bingo one more time and really rub this one in. There's a cool way to just play a ton of vowels as well. KAWAU plays right here, holding RTT. If you are worried about drawing a bunch of vowels, are a little bit vowel heavy right now. But I think karate for 40 just kind of keep scoring. I'm not even worried about opening that spot at this juncture in the game. He's going to,
oh no, Austin. Oh no, yeah, Will is thinking through his mental Rolodex of words. This would be the noun version of autarky, AUTARKY, which is a form of government. But man, that looks pretty sus to me and to Will, I think. I mean, it's not a close encounter, so it's not going to make a huge difference. But yeah, they're gonna go look that one up.
All right, so this is something we don't see very often. Austin Shin's going to lose a turn as a A-U-T-A-R-K. A little confusion there from him. I bet in a closer game he doesn't roll the dice on a word he's unsure of, but he figured he'd give it a shot here. Knowing, too, that he's got a number of different bailout options in different quadrants. Karate is still there, and those tiles have even been revealed, so Will knows it. Cat is still there, so you take the shot. It's not going to hurt you too bad, and you've got a good play next turn either way. So the word coming off, play passing back to Will. He's got to be a little bit relieved that something good has finally happened to him this game. He got to play the Z for 50, and now he gets a free turn. All right, Will can smile. Just kidding. He's been smiling the whole game.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate for Austin. You need a few of these big wins to build spread, and that's could be an important tiebreaker down the road. All of a sudden, he's looking at something more in like the 150-point win range rather than like a true blowout, because this is really going to slow him down. Let's see. Oh, very nice.
So we've seen 6 of Austin's 7 tiles, right? AAKRTU. That doesn't do anything here, does it? Unless there's a colon I don't know. I don't see a single word that would play through the V.
Yeah, that is very creative. I like that. Ver sets up a triple. Max Payne for sure. The other thing I was thinking is that if Austin had actually laid Karate down, Will would have gotten Verix in response, overlapping Karate. So another option is that you actually just play off the letters not in Verix and just kind of wait for Austin to slap Karate on the board. But I think I like your option better. I mean, that would be 160 points down, but with a triple on the board. Of course, Austin does not know that Will has the X. So that might be the best way of inflicting pain. But Will has to be in a state of mind where he can think through Ver and realize that he's in this with a shout. Because it's a pretty unorthodox play, because you're probably looking to dump the X here and bingo. That would be the standard path back to victory. But Will's giving this a real shot, which is good to see. Let's see what he comes up with.
Yeah, when you have this knowledge of your opponent's rack, you should almost always spend a very long time thinking about the next turn if you want to optimize it. So that's part of the question. Do you want to optimize it when you're down 200? But hey, if you can open a triple and hold an X and maybe something crazy happens, like weirder things have happened in Scrabble.
Well, Will also should be turning over tiles here. That's very important, because he knows the blank is in the bag and that Austin almost certainly does not have it, given his last play of Autark. Although I guess he could have Autark blank on his rack, but Austin probably does not have the blank, and that means Will should probably err towards turning over tiles. So I really like this Ver idea. It's going to be really hard to not just play Nix and move on.
I mean, we also know the O is not home for Austin right now. I don't think Autark is ever the right play if it holds an O. I think you've got other options like Outtake. So the O is not on Austin's rack. You can set it up and draw. There's 5 in the bag. You're going to get one most of the time. AXE makes sense. Ver makes sense. Nix and Fishing makes sense. All of these options are good for Will in a game where nothing good has happened until about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's a really awesome point. And if you're Austin and you see Axe go down, I have no idea how you respond to that. It could be, you probably have to play Vex or no, sorry, not Vex. I got confused between the racks. You would struggle to find a good answer. But Will's kind of left him off the hook a little bit here.
He's given him the big bailout of ICAT, so this Karate no longer has to be played, giving up the big sacrifice, as Will's given a nice option, and he knows Austin has those tiles too. I think a chance for Will to do a little better on that turn, but almost certainly too little too late in a game where he just hasn't had the tile advantage.
But Austin kind of rushed this one. I'm surprised, actually. One of Austin's strengths is his mental game, and I think he was didn't give himself enough time to find ICAT and Kish. Kish is kind of an unusual 4, but ICAT is a major upgrade. I mean, especially a Nix looks very suspicious. Like Austin has to know that Will has prepared for Austin to play karate and may have maneuvered his tiles to maximally exploit that. So I wish Austin had tried to track down ICAT and Kish there, even though it's not the most obvious. He probably just didn't even look there at all. We've got a game
Scrabble
here.
is not a game about being able to make the flashy play when it comes up. Scrabble is a game about being incredibly consistent and playing every single rec correctly, taking 0 turns off over the course of a big, long, cumulative tournament. And yeah, as Jesse said, Austin generally very strong at doing that, but taking a little vacation on this turn in a game where he's got the breathing room to afford that. AEEINRV on Will's rack now. I got to get these scores updated. But he did miss the bingo after Nix, and that about does him in this one.
Yeah, and by miss a bingo, we don't mean that he failed to see a bingo, but that he did not draw the right tile combination. I mean, he very easily could have drawn a 100-point bingo in response to karate. Yeah, neither of them, I think, saw ICAT and Kish, not to fixate on that. But yeah, he's just going to throw in the towel here. And you saw that little hesitation. He's like, yeah, am I throwing in the towel? I am throwing in the towel. So Vayner goes down, and you got to think the rest of this game is going to go pretty uneventfully. There's no B here for tubiform, which Austin, I believe, tell me that's a word. It is a word. Hey, I know stuff. Sweet. Oh, fumitory. That's the other 8. Neither of them is going to go down. Austin has probably seen them both, and he's just going to throw down fum and score a bunch of points and score some more and roll his way to a nice score in the mid-500s.
He's got to set it up as fumitory to make sure we all know that he saw it. We know you know that word, Austin. You're incredible. You know all the words. But well done, yes. There's a fun little cute fit. I love when Scrabble gives us plays like this. Outfire plays, playing FIOUT for a bunch of points, but FUM I think is more standard and probably fine. I would love to play an O here if I could, because I know there's a bunch coming, but I don't know. You can do anything in this case. Just end the game.
Yeah, FUM is just a lot of points. If he does that, it's 35. So I feel like he's gonna look around a bit because he wants to make sure that he's still sharp, especially after the karate gaff. He's gonna want to come out of this game feeling like he's still. I mean, that was a fluke, and he knows it, but he's going to want to find a few good plays and make sure the brain's still operating full speed.
Yep.
But
here it comes. FUM for 35 puts Austin ahead by exactly 200 points, 457 to 257. And Will with that blank, but too many O's to go with it. And yet again, no bingo for Will this turn.
Oh my goodness. The chat spotted PaleoCon double. So we're really just, it's just a Max Payne session on Will. But the great thing about Will is he has the composure and the self humor and self-deprecation that he can just move on for this, absorb the blow, and just get on with the business of winning the tournament. If anything, this would be the kind of thing he'd joke about himself. So.
Yeah, humility never lacking from Will. He's a great sportsman, win, lose, draw, whatever it may be, and a champion of the game. We always appreciate him. And anybody who's able to take a 200-point loss in stride, you're a champion too, because we need people like that in Scrabble more.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I recommend Will's video on a critical mistake he made at the World Scrabble Championship, where he kind of walks step by step into how he took a critical last day game and what happened and the series of steps that led to him losing it. And it just takes a lot of humility, self recognition, and the desire to share knowledge to put yourself out there like that and admit that you made a mistake. I recommend that video highly.
Yeah, if you haven't followed Will on YouTube yet, you really need to get on that. Just search for Will Anderson YouTube channel. He's got over 40,000 followers now and puts out all kinds of videos. I love them. They're digestible enough that people who have no idea how Scrabble works can still follow the tactical decision-making decisions that need to be made by the players. And he does such a great job, an ambassador for the game. And if you're here today because of a Will Anderson video, welcome to Competitive Scrabble. We're excited to have you, and buckle up for the ride. It's going to be a great tournament here from Albany, New York. Speaking of this tournament and Albany, New York, all of the action is going to be brought to you here on the Let's Play Scrabble YouTube channel. Tons and tons of Scrabble comes your way from this channel. So if you're a fan of Will and what he does, this is another channel you'll want to follow. You can digest Scrabble whenever your workday is abysmal and you need a little brain break. Let's make sure we hit the thumbs up button on this video as well. The more thumbs up we get, the higher this live stream gets bumped up YouTube's algorithm and the more new folks we bring to competitive Scrabble. So do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and next time you see Josh, buy him a coffee or a little snack or something, because Josh does so much work putting these streams together. All Jesse and I do is roll up and talk. Josh does all the work behind the scenes. He is an incredible person to have around and does so much at every single one of his Let's Play Scrabble events. So thank you to Josh. He didn't ask me to plug any of that. I just did, but he's just an absolute asset in the game. Looks like next game is going to be Adam Logan versus Edgar Odonkara. So that's going to be a good one. Edgar is a player unknown to me, but putting up incredible results so far in this field. I checked his initial provisional rating was going to be 2,300 or so. So that one going to be good. And anytime you can get Adam Logan on stream, you got to stay tuned. So that's coming next. I can't say exactly when yet. We've got to get this one over with, but more awesome stuff. And again, the field in Albany this year in the CSW division is bonkers. There are so many incredible players. It's going to be awesome. Will, Pone, how he chose to navigate that last rack that did not bingo. Austin, CGIOORT. The O's are finally starting to come out of the bag. And Will with a good draw. Do you see any bingos he has down to that A, Jesse?
Do I? The answer is I do not. I've been looking around. Pone was a pretty surprising move, but Will did run out of, or Will is very close to running out of time, which is kind of unusual when you're getting wiped out. But I guess there was some unusual happenings along the way that explained how he got so low on time. I think he probably just slapped Pone down because it scores decently. I am trying my best to find something, and I have not yet. There's some amusing almost bingos, like Kilobar with 2 L's. Kilobar. That could be my artist name, actually. Yeah, I don't actually see anything that fits yet.
Trilobal plays through the L, and Brachiola, Braciola, plays down to the A. So Pone worked to perfection. I think part of the thinking there was Will wanted to hold on to the case A. He had the last one, so he knew he wouldn't double up. Austin's going to knock out the double-double line, the most threatening line. Will's like, okay, well, Trilobal got blocked, but I'm still going to bingo here and save a little bit of face. So co-log the play for Austin, gives him 473 points, and Will out of ABILOR blank, just the one playable bingo now down to the A, and that's Brachiola. Brachiola, yeah. I don't know how you say that word.
I think it's a deli meat, so it'd probably be like Brachiola or something like that. But Yeah, if there's one thing about Will, it's rain or shine. He's going to find his bingo. It's pretty rare to see him. I mean, he is pretty unrivaled word knowledge, not only word knowledge, but just command of the words, ability to manipulate the blank. And that pays off because at times like this, he's now taken what could have been a gaping defeat, and it's a 112-point spread. So he's really done a good finding those bingos consistently. Just really helps him with damage control in these situations.
Yeah, Will, a word machine. He came over from competitive Boggle, was my understanding. So unusual case. Most of the time, people come to Scrabble from other like chess or poker type games, and they've got the game profile down and need to learn the words. Will unusual in that he came in and already knew all the words. He just needed to focus on the strategy component, and man, it has been fun to watch his meteoric ascent over the last decade or so. He hit the scene so hard, so fast, and got so good. He's still so dangerous to this day, but not in this game. Not when he's going to draw the way he did here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of impressed that Will got this down to 112. That's like my big takeaway from this is actually like a subtle masterclass in continuous score, even when the odds are against you. I'm just reflecting on. I still think Will could have made more of the opening. That it's hard to train or prepare for situations like that. That autark phony and how to react to that, it requires some real out of the box creativity. And I mean, he was down 200, so he probably never could have come back there anyway. But that's the moment in this game that really sticks in my mind. Is I think they both missed a chance to optimize that spot a little more.
One other turn that I think Will's going to go back and think about, and I'm not saying this was a mistake or a blunder, but just one of those things that sits in your head as you lay awake in bed at tournaments. His very first move of Simon, he ended up getting bogged down by a number of bad racks, and he held a U there. He has to think maybe if I had left a few points on the table and tried to play something like Yaman or Colty, maybe things would have been steered in a different direction. I mean, hindsight's always 2020, and I think Steinle was probably fine. But that's the thing about this game is you never know. Like it's hard to get a definitive this one was right and this one was wrong. And the second guessing is infinite in competitive Scrabble. It's tough.
Yeah. Will, I mean, that was another, I think in each of the games so far, you've gotten to see players' styles. And that was a very Will play. He in situations where he has bad racks, I find that he goes for turnover, powering through, uses the depth of his word knowledge to play obscure words and just kind of process through that scenario. But it did leave things very open. So that, I mean, we kind of promised going into this encounter that this is going to be a more open, aggressive game. That was really Kimlin, however the hell you pronounce it, is very much that on display. Whereas I do not think Wellington would have played Simlin, for instance.
Yeah, no clear mistakes, I think, from either player aside from the word knowledge lapse late. And then Nix, I think I would have liked to see Ver there. But, sometimes you just lose in Scrabble when there are two extremely talented players over the board. One of them has to lose unless you tie. So, yeah, that's just kind of what we saw happen here. A well-played game on both ends, though.
Yeah, treated, as always. Some real word mastery, some real thought. At the end of the day, they both use most of their clocks, things like the earless decisions, cases where gavels as well, cases where the edges were small, but you got a hint as to the full process that they were going through to get to those decisions.
Austin's spending a lot of time on this end game, and the irony is he has 5 sequences that are all identical according to the engine. So there is not one optimal end game here, but 5, and he's going to make sure he does his math, milk every point out of every victory, as Scrabble players should do. If you've ever lost a tournament on spread before, I'm certain you lamented not doing this, and players with the mental stamina to do this every game are very impressive to me, because I ain't that guy.
Yeah.
This is one of the 5 correct end games for Austin, and the one that results in the highest cumulative score for the players. So once again, as we were talking about player styles, the scoring is not stopped in Austin's book, and a bid going to be the outplay here. It's going to do it for this one. Final score of 495 for Austin Shin to 389 for Will Anderson. We are going to let them get their paperwork done, get a little postmortem on, and then we'll put Austin Shin on the headset to get some thoughts about this game from him. So fire up some questions in chat right now for Austin. By the time they actually hit and you hear me say this, we'll probably have the headset on. So let's get those, and we'll do a little interview with Austino himself, the winner of this game, 495 to 389.
Some very tall people lurking in the background, by the way. At least a couple of 2 meter tall individuals just kind of stalking over the board. Just what you want to experience after a tough loss.
I'm surprised they don't have their phones in their hand trolling the YouTube chat as they also make the appearance on YouTube. That's kind of what the streaming culture has devolved into these days, right? Or something like that.
Sounds
chat is a
right.
lot quieter without Erickson Smith trolling in it and instead playing in this tournament. But he's having some great success so far. I saw he was like in 5th or 6th place a few rounds ago.
Yeah, Eric is an interesting case to me. He's a guy who wasn't really active in a lot of the teams, but I think some people were lured back to Scrabble during the pandemic by things like the rise of Woogles, and it's kind of it's good to see him back and competing, and he's taken his game to higher levels than before the pandemic, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do a sound check with Austin. Austin, can you hear us all right?
Yes.
All right. Well, congratulations on that victory, putting on a display of how to bingo, bango, bongo, and just absolutely put down a hammer on Will Anderson. How do you feel after that one?
Yeah, pretty good. Not so much about the phony, but yeah, just got to a very lucky start, and yeah, just had to keep it going from there.
I think one of the turns that kind of drove the shape of this game was drawing into earless and having a number of playable bingos there. You opted to play this one and then ended up getting to cash huge on one of the 2 scoring spots you set up. Walk us through that turn a little bit and how you elected to make that play.
Yeah, just had to write down all the bingos from the 7 tiles that I had. And yeah, I wasn't really expecting Will to play something like similar and to open up the board completely. So try to take a bit of time to look for 4 timers through the owl. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of open the board or open 2 different triples at the same time. So that way, if he takes one, I have the other one. Guess it kind of worked out in this situation. But yeah, that was basically my only reason why I did that. And I think that's the only bingo that actually did open both triples at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. Every other option that scored the same gave up a triple opportunity. So instead, you opened up the 2 spots, split the board open, and guaranteed points for both players going forward. So we like that decision. And then, of course, some nice draws, but also some perfect precision in how you navigated those. That was well done. Jesse, you have a question for Austin or anything at all to pass along?
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
So I got a question from the stream. Do you find it stressful to play on stream?
Honestly, not really. As some of you guys already know, I stream 2 times a week anyway, so I'm kind of used to people watching me play. And I've done this enough times now, so I think I think I'm kind of used to it by now. I'm not really paying attention to the cameras and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that haven't been on the stream as much, but just like with anything, just a bit of time and practice, just doing it, just being on the camera does help a lot. So yeah, not a great deal, if that's the short answer.
So tell us just a little bit more about your stream. Where do you stream? When do you stream? How can the people watching this find you on the internet?
Yeah. So I stream on Twitch. So my Twitch channel is Austinio9. So AUSTINHO number 9. So you just go to twitch.tv/Austinio9. Go throw me a follow, and you'll see when I stream next. And I stream every Tuesday and Thursday nights in the US. So play all sorts of stuff with Scrabble. Play on in Infinity Words or the anagram games, and play some Scrabble on Woggles and things like that. So yeah, go ahead and check that out if you have time.
And Austin also has a video up with the Try Guys on YouTube where they try more and more cheating tactics to try to beat him. And it's a great video. I won't spoil much more, but check that one out as well. An ambassador for the game and a streamer as well in the clash of the streamers in that last one. And Austin, you're wearing bright colors every day. I love a good colorful shirt. But yesterday your shirt said 504. Tell us the significance of that.
Yeah, mainly it's just the area code for New Orleans, where I live. So yeah, I'm just looking at the time. I actually end up with 5 minutes and 4 seconds as well, just randomly.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that was. But yeah, that was basically it. It's just the area code.
And Austin hails from New Orleans now. I've got to make the opportunity to plug this as well. So, Austin, there's something really cool every January that happens in New Orleans that you and Lindsay and Lila put together. Talk about that for just a minute.
Yeah, so every Martin Luther King weekend, basically in the middle of January, we hold a national event, a big event with the Crescent City Cup. So I think it's the 13th event coming up in January 2025. And yeah, we have NWL divisions, or the American Dictionary, and the Collins divisions. We have open and light divisions as well. So yeah, just go check it out on Cross Tables. We have a flyer on there, and we have entry forms. So yeah, you guys can enter right now and go check it out.
Yeah, it's always a marquee tournament, one of the absolute best events of the year. And I cannot emphasize enough that you should go if you have the opportunity to. I've already sent in my registration for this year. That's how 100% I am about this tournament. I will be there. You should too. Austin, with that, we're going to let you stretch your legs, get a little bio break. Congrats on the victory. And thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Good luck, man.
And we've got the players set, so we are going to have a very quick turnaround before we bring you over to our next matchup. And as we teased, that's going to be Adam Logan and Edgar Odonkara. This is going to be fun. I'm seeing Edgar's WESPA rating is about 1850. He was in 4th place going into the last round, but I think he just lost. Still easily in the top 10. And we've seen now one player from Africa already in Wellington, but another one now in Edgar. There is just so much talent coming from the African continent. And it's so exciting to see these players on the stream. And as Jesse's touched on, the unorthodox, not unorthodox, but a version of Scrabble that I think is refreshing to see. I feel like in North America, we all learned from the engines, from Quackle, and kind of all started to play the same way. A different brand of Scrabble. This is going to be fun. I think the players are situated. So with that, let's cut over to the board and get our next game underway. Adam Logan of Canada and Edgar Odonkara. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how Edgar does here. So Edgar is from Uganda. He is one of the top players from Uganda, along with Richard Jaria. I had the pleasure of playing Edgar, I think, maybe at the World Championship in Nairobi. And he's a really nice young guy. I believe he's a doctor. And it's really cool. I think we have Ivan Sentongo as well, who's another Ugandan. So I'm really impressed we got a Ugandan contingent out to Albany, New York. It speaks to how international our game is, that it's one of the pleasures of competing at the international level is getting to meet people from all over the world and experience these different Scrabble cultures. So I'm really excited what Edgar shows. I don't think he's going to be nervous or anything. He's been competing at this level in Eastern Africa for a long time, competed at the world level. I don't know if he's played Adam before, but I'm really excited to see what he brings to the table.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting. And I love the growth and development of Scrabble in Africa. Jesse actually directed a Coco tournament a few months ago, and we had Emmanuel King drop in. Emmanuel is the Sierra Leonean national champion. And man, he dropped a hammer on me. I think he bingoed he scored way over 500 points, and I think he used less than 10 minutes. There's just so much growth of Scrabble coming from Africa, so much talent coming from Africa. And anytime we can see some of that on display in North America, it's a treat for us.
Yeah, I gotta add one anecdote there if I've got the time, which is that actually after Emmanuel came to our tournament here in Central Texas, he went back to Africa and won Sierra Leone's first gold medal at the African Olympiad, or I can't remember the name of the tournament, but it's like mostly a sporting competition that also is expanding into mind games. And he literally won the first gold medal for his country, for Sierra Leone, ever at the I think it was either the African Olympiad, African Games. So that just shows you the prestige that mind sports and even specifically Scrabble has in Africa. It's a huge element of national pride. It is reported about in news media. I have a Scrabble Google alert, and about 50% of those articles are reporting on the Nigerian domestic team league. So it just goes to show you the prestige that Scrabble has. It's not just in Nigeria. It's in Southern Africa, East Africa, and of course the World Championship is going to be in Ghana next year, which is huge. One of the issues historically with the World Championships is they have often been hosted in countries where it is hard for all players to get visas and be able to travel. I mean, maybe understandably, if you tell a visa officer, I'm here for the World Scrabble Championship, they might look at you twice. But it is going to be in Ghana next year. And I had the pleasure of attending the Nairobi event in 2017. And I cannot wait to travel to Ghana. And it's going to be an amazing collection of players from all over the continent and the world.
Yeah, it is going to be a marquee event. That's the World Championship in Ghana in 2025. It's going to be exciting stuff. Speaking of exciting stuff, let's cut over to the board for real this time. The players wandered off, but they have returned to the board. We've got Edgar of Uganda. We've got Adam Logan of Canada. I think he's living in the U.S. right now, but Canada absolutely still claims him. And this is going to be an awesome game to watch. I'm stoked. Adam getting those tiles extremely randomized. That is a very lengthy shuffle, but I guess you got to randomize them as good as possible to get a good game of Scrabble, right?
Yeah. I am interested. We haven't even talked about Adam, but he is a force to be reckoned with, a tornado, one of the best calculators the game has ever seen. An intellectual prodigy, has worked for various intelligence agencies, kind of a mysterious figure almost, at least to me. Took a step away from the game. He's back now, but he was one of the original prodigies back 20 or 30 years ago. He's been world champion. It is always a pleasure to have him on stream.
Wow, AEEIRXZ, the opening rack. And I think this is what you do here. ZAIRE is 48 points. You've got to take that on the first turn. So a big opening here for Edgar as he pounces ahead. 5 floaters for Adam. Will he find what he needs to bingo? No, he will not. That is too many vowels. AEMNOOY. Oh, no, just kidding. That is not too many vowels. That's just exactly the right number of vowels.
Let's go.
For 69. So 5 floaters out there. Each floater you put gives your opponent about 2.5% more chance to bingo. And Adam has found the floater he needs. Aeronomy for 69 puts him ahead 69 to 48. But Edgar With that X on his rack and two S's now to go with it, he looks to threaten a big score here. EHSOOUX, the pull for Edgar. HOX plays alongside Aeronomy for a mammoth score. 41 holding ESSU. House plays on the other side for a good score as well. 42 points holding SX. Between those options, Jesse, which one do you think we'll see? Or I guess we'll see neither. Whoa.
Is he going to play Hoyes? Is that what he's thinking? But it's Hoyes is kind of similar to House, where no, he is not putting the E on there. Very interesting. I was going to say that it's tempting to hold on to the X to see if you can get a big score with it. However, it's typically harder earlier in the game because the X benefits from a lot of triple letter scores being opened and big scoring spots being kind of emerging, which typically happens in a longer game. Early on in the game, I'm not actually as wild about holding on to the X, let alone holding on to the X and the U together. So I probably myself would have taken the chance to cash in Hawks, but let's see how it goes for him.
Yeah, that was certainly a non-standard decision from Edgar, and he played it very quickly too. Adam's going to hit back with Jiggy out of a really inflexible rack. Jiggy holding BKW, and now Edgar holding on to that X last turn, looks to cash it in here as he sets down XU above Jiggy, easily his top option here for 39 points. We're seeing fast play. Jesse, do you think time rushing Adam Logan is something that's going to be successful very often?
Unlikely, although in my experience, Adam makes the obvious plays extremely fast and then will really think deeply when the time comes. So it's not impossible that he could exert time pressure, but this is kind of what I was talking about earlier in my commentary about just the pace of play that's common in Africa. People just play fast, reflexively. Sometimes to me, what feels like too fast, but it's just kind of how people tend to operate is just move quickly, exert pressure on the opponent. I think a part of it is even psychological. It's like you want someone to, if you got a scoring play, you want to get it down fast and make someone really feel the full pain of just how easy it was to score 50 points. So non-standard in the US, I would say, or in North America, but this is very much what it's like, and you feel it on the other end of it when someone slaps down a 97 point bingo with like slow rolling with the blank or whatever. You feel it, so it's just part of the culture.
Yeah, I know that time pressure can certainly rattle people. Some people are inclined to sit there for 3, 4, 5 minutes and try to milk that extra, half of an equity point out of a turn. And some people say, I'm just going to play fast and furious and make your clock run all the time and try to induce some mistakes later in the game, try to keep myself close until then. So different ways to approach the game for sure. And I do know for sure playing fast has a lot more of an impact than I think some people suspect. That's what we're seeing here. That's
right. And a few more of these turns like Adam is demonstrating here, and you will see the cumulative impact of that time pressure. But I think Adam is right to spend a bunch of time here because this is one of those moves that I typically go to that differentiates top experts from the next tier. Because if you can extricate yourself from this mess of tiles elegantly, you set yourself up potentially for smooth sailing the rest of the way. So it's worth investing that extra amount of time and consideration. I don't see a lot of star options, so it'll be interesting what he decides to do. I could see him just playing whip and hap, as is suggested in the commentary, just to kind of block the biggest scoring spot on the board more than anything. I mean, BKM there's really not much to write home about in the aftermath of that. You'd really it's kind of amazing he doesn't have a better play on top of UG. You would really love to use that, but sadly, WUG is not a word. He could play F or Fo and Pug, but the resulting letters are so horrific that he's eschewed it, and he's decided to play Whip and clean up his rack more. I think that's a nice decision on his part, actually.
Yeah, PHO scores 4 more than Whip, and yet it just the leave is so bad. You're going to be fighting through that stuff for quite a while. So Whip, the option here, and we're going to see swirlers now in response, which I don't believe is valid.
Oh boy! But he's drawing, so
he's drawing. It's not been 15 seconds. But he hasn't drawn. He's just had the bag in his hand and drew at exactly the 15-minute mark. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like we've just seen a phony stay on the board against Adam Logan in 5-point challenge. Is that real?
Of all the things I thought I was going to see this game, that was not on my bingo list. Remarkable.
Very interesting. Okay, so there's a possibility that we're on hold right now yet. The way Adam has this disgusted look on his face, I think maybe he's making sure that he doesn't have a bingo through one of these floaters. He wants to make sure that it's to his advantage. I don't know that this play has been accepted yet. And our director stepped away for a minute, so we can't get any kind of confirmation here. But in WESPA rules, is it provisional draw after 15 seconds?
Yes. Question mark. Someone read. I'm never very good with the rules. Someone please back me up on this. But
NAFTA rule is 15. It seems like they would be different.
Yeah, WESPA has tried to align their rules mostly to, or in a lot of cases, there used to be bigger differences that have been generally aligned. I should probably know this, given how many of these tournaments I've competed in, but that's just how it goes. I feel like the longer you can see Edgar taking a look around, I feel like the longer this stays on, the more likely it is to just stay. He can see the disgust, as you mentioned.
In 5-point, it doesn't seem like you would sit here and hold for several minutes, just kind of throw a nickel at anything you're remotely unsure of. But this position is more complex because I think Adam has to figure out what his response would be if it comes off and what his response would be otherwise. You see, he's lined up M bank here, which is a much better option than I think anything you'll have should swirlers come off. But you can't give up the 72 points just because you have a 38-point counter. I'm very curious to see if this is hold or not.
And Edgar has another bingo on his rack. So this is the key moment. Oh no!
And Adam, I don't know if there was never a hold or if Adam had just accepted the play, but M bank going to be the play for Adam. So the phony from Edgar stays on the board. Adam trails 165 to 195 after that whole sequence. I got behind on scores because I had no idea if that play was going to stay. And a natural bingo drawn out of the bag after the phony from Edgar. He's got Uridine. It's going to play for 72 points. His only playable bingo opens up a huge line at the top of the board. And Adam, with a poor draw, he's not going to be able to cash in on this with a lot of gusto. CEELOT. What did I miss? CEEELOT, the rack for Adam. So this is rough. Quackle suggesting plays from the K and M bank are his best options, things like Keel, Keen, or Keat. But so many spots available on the top of the board and over here, it feels crazy to take neither one of them. Jesse, break this turn down for us. What do you think? What do you think Adam is thinking about right now?
Oh man, I mean, the biggest thing is just getting composed. Yeah, this probably feels like a bit of an overwhelming moment. I mean, I'm always interested with Adam because I feel like he displays a lot of facial language when things don't go his way. And I always wonder, like, is that really him being impacted, or like is he on top of his mental game? I really don't know. I think the biggest thing to do is to not panic. 102 points. I mean, he's a heavy favorite rating wise, so there's ample room for Edgar to make mistakes and let him back in the game. And I think the big thing is just not to overreact. And I think the general way back is going to be to keep things open, slow turnover down. So only play a few tiles each turn and just try to land yourself up to play a couple of bingos. But they don't have to come immediately. He has ample time to get back in this game. I think if I were him, I would play Keel because CEOT is a very fine bingo lead. It scores 24 points. It opens a new quadrant of the board for bingos. So I don't particularly think he needs the volatility of keeping the top left open. That U is perhaps not as easy to play through as I'm not scared of that in Adam's shoes. I'm totally fine with keeping that open. But I think a big mistake here would be doing something, would be overreacting and doing something too defensive unnecessarily. I see elote here, which is sadly still not a word. They better add that one of these days.
Elote, delicious,
yeah.
but yeah, not valid. Another advantage to playing Keel in this spot, your leave of CETO is actually very powerful for OUT right here. So I expect Edgar plays up in this spot a lot of the time, and then there's potential to draw just an absolutely killer possibility after Keel. So take neither spot, let your opponent have the juicy one, but this is a one you were gunning for the whole time. That feels pretty nice about Keel in this situation. And Adam, right on cue. Man, these players make my job so easy. Keel for 24 points is the play from Adam. ABDOTUU, the rack for Edgar, who leads 267 to 189. And he's got to figure out what to do about these dynamic lines on the top of the board. Not seeing any good ways to address both. And now he can make the same decision as Adam did. Take one or take neither. He's got good options about plays in this spot here. OUTA plays in this spot right here, but there's also AUSUBO, AUSUBO, if you want to leave both spots available. And it looks like he's going to go with none of those options, but an option that still looks reasonable, OUD in this spot. So he is knocking out the triple opportunity with the leave that he has.
Yeah, interesting. I guess once you've committed yourself to this fast playing route, he really doesn't want to let off the pressure too much, even though that could have been a spot that benefited from a little deeper analysis, because I don't think you could just tell from Edgar's body language there was not something especially obvious. I would have thought about Budo or about at the top there, making BES, just to maybe score a few more points, turn over a couple more tiles. We haven't seen a blank yet, so that's going to be a bigger factor that encourages turnover. I probably would have slapped down about myself for that reason. But yeah, it was a pretty reasonable. Oh my goodness, does Edgar have another blank? Another bingo? Am I losing my mind? Does he have two spots?
Tabulate Bateau, yeah. That was a huge swing. ABTU did not feel like an awesome leave, but Edgar felt otherwise, and now he's going to bingo with either Tabulate or Bateau. What a pull.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay. So going back to Adam's side of the board, down 101. This is pretty much not. I mean, he is decocked. He could. The problem is that he desperately wants to get in the bag and draw one of the two blanks, but he also really needs to slow the game down so he has time to come back. So Defo, 40 points. This is really tough. Octad, which Matt is drawing out. I kind of like Octad better. Defo leaving CCT is really desperate. Yeah, Octad's a strong find. Very nice.
Yeah, I think that CEF gives you a lot more flexibility. Adam needs to bingo as soon as possible, and CCT is not going to get him there very often. That's a really tricky overlap with that DF front hook, and well spotted by Adam. But Bateau going to be, I think, the final straw for his win percentage in this game. And Edgar, again, wasting absolutely no time before he makes this play. Bateau is 86 with the 3 overlaps. Puts Edgar ahead 376 to 223.
Oh, Adam's holding. He's challenged. Did he challenge? I think he challenged. Yeah.
This is good as a 6 and a 7, right? 1T or 2T. So he's throwing the nickel at this one, although this is the wrong bingo to challenge this game.
We just witnessed 2 consecutive bludgeonings. Whew. I mean, yeah, that's. I don't even. The thing that's fascinating is in our chat, Jomi mentioned that he once played Swirler as a phony against Adam and had a challenge off. But sometimes those things can just implant yourself. You just remember that you've seen it. I've definitely done that before, where words come up, I challenge it correctly, but I'm just left with the memory that word came up on a board sometime in the past, and you don't always remember what the full context was surrounding that. So that could be one of our chat members could have actually implanted Adam with a false memory years ago to give us this moment. It's kind of a butterfly effect, sort of. It's hard to keep them all straight, unless you're Nigel, in which case you just know them all.
Another incredible draw from Edgar. Neither blank was on the board after he bingoed. That had to be bad news for Adam. You're going to bingo with no blanks and then draw 7 fresh tiles. And sure enough, Edgar did go in and find one. EGINRY blank. He's going to score a huge score again next turn, something like syringe plays. So this one is going to get ugly fast. Welcome to the stream, Edgar, and what a display in your debut. Wow. And he's used, 3 minutes? 3 minutes and 30 some seconds to absolutely romp a former world champion. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, we thought we were going to see the 500 or the 600 last game, but this could easily go into the 600 territory especially the way Adam just drew there. That is just a nightmare of a draw. You really, you really want an eye out there so you can play Vivific and just reset everything. But yeah, this is worse than Will's situation last game, or Adam's body language. Honestly, looks like he's a little more shook. Fixiv. Oh, very interesting. Yeah. So there's still, you just have to kind of never give up. Fixiv is actually, in practice, it probably leads to a triple, which is a horrific outcome. But I like Fixiv because CIV is actually sort of directionally bingo-ish, at least compared to his starting point. And, yeah, he has to decide, do I go damage control? Am I still, am I going to do never say die, like desperation, fish opening? He's probably down enough. I think he should not do Fixiv, especially because the block is so simple for Edgar. But I would like it if he at least considered it.
Yeah, it's an option, but one that I think, and I'm always the guy who's going to play to win the game and open the triple. But even at this point, I think it's just far too easy to block. All vowels can still block it. All consonants can still block it. There's nothing Edgar could have except perhaps a stroke that would stop him from hitting that spot. So Yeah, it's a good idea. It's fun. It's a little thought exercise, but it's not going to work in this iteration, especially as rekeying would be the play for Edgar afterwards, and it just doesn't work in any universe. So don't give it a try here. And Adam's not going to. He's just going to play Fisk, and get bingo done again.
What a okay, yeah, what a drubbing. Youch.
So layering the play, redying plays through the E and keel for 2 extra points, but this is 86. Go ahead and just do it, and it can put that time pressure on because you're going to need it in this tight end game that we're about to see.
Whoa, this is some pro stuff. Do you see that embedded camera showing the blank right there? That was elegant. I love that.
Yeah, see here on Let's Play Scrabble, we got the telestrator on, we got the challenge cam, we got the blank slip cam, we got the headsets for interviews. Like when I talked about how Josh makes this so easy and does it so well, I'm not kidding. Like it's incredible what Josh puts together here on Let's Play Scrabble. The blank slip
This is the state of the art. This is awesome.
Yes, the premier Scrabble streaming place, at least in 2024. Anybody want to try to dethrone him? Good luck.
And Edgar's got another easy play. Plant, gonna go down. Leave NST. Leave the dream of the next bingo alive.
Yeah. At this point, I would just try to play as quickly as I can so I can say I beat a world champion in under X minutes and make X be as impressive as possible. So Plant coming down 15 points NST, perhaps one more bingo coming for Edgar. Is he chasing 600? Will he get it? Let's see what's in the bag. That blanket's still there, right?
Oh, yeah. Adam did not draw another blocker somehow, but he also did not draw the blank, which is unfortunate.
And no blank, but a good rack. I don't think that bingo's on this board unless there's a Collins thing.
I don't know.
But still, so AAELRVV for Adam. When it rains, it pours. Probably about time for him to just throw in the towel and play off these V's. And at this point, he's not winning the game. So, do you even try to play a bingo, or are you just going to get some points and end it? Rev plays right here for 32. I think you just do that. DEVA plays. You can just play off the VA and score some points as well. I don't know, DEVA, open a new line. And anything to dissect here? You gonna make a stab at this one, Jesse?
Oof. Well, first of all, I'm glad I'm not actually in Adam's shoes right now because it's a tough spot. I think the only thing left to discuss is, are you in variance minimization mode? Because you don't have a blank in front of you, and there's some awfully good tiles unseen. So he could go with Volvae, VOLVAE, through the O, blocking 100-point potential doubles that also hook UG. So that hurts to do, especially when you're down 200, but it might be time to cut his losses as best he can. He could go with something like Ava and Ja, which I see suggested in the chat for just. Yeah, so that could be like, I'm not dead yet. I'm gonna try to get one more big play in, but the most likely result of that, even if you triple, you probably still lose no matter what, and you still have a V on your rack. So I think I would not do that because you're probably just setting up Edgar for even more devastation. So yeah, and we're getting the word from our producer that this is actually going to change the leader of the tournament, potentially. So Adam, going into this game, was in first place, but you wouldn't have known it based on what happened here, because it has been vicious and very lopsided. And this just shows you how Scrabble is. You got to take your lumps to. And he's playing Valve, which is very similar to Volve. So he's saying, okay, enough. There is still the Zaire's hook, which is kind of, I think Edgar is just going to score a bit, and he could maybe still draw that last bingo. So he played off. Yeah.
Look at this. He's holding ASTIN, ASTIN, and just setting up ING draws in this line frequency, setting up outwards in this line frequency, frequently holding the S to hit this. Like, man, that's such a strong play from him. And wow, yeah, 27 more points, and Edgar just continuing to set himself up for continued success. OFF for 27 puts Edgar at 509 to Adam's 300, but Adam finally mercifully has found something in that tile bag. It's a blank. While he won't bingo here, I think he'll have a chance to get one more before this game is over. 3 tiles in the bag. Adam's probably going to play 2 and look to try to position himself in bingo out in this one and cut the spread.
Yeah, really well identified there with what Edgar is up to. And yeah, as I talked about earlier in my commentary, these things matter. I mean, if you can rack up a 300-point spread against a discouraged opponent or something like that, it could be the essential tiebreaker for later in the tournament. That could be thousands of dollars for getting a different place based on having that extra spread. You never really know. So I like that Edgar is continuing to try to maximize. Yeah, and then for Adam right now, this is better late than never, I suppose. And he needs to. How many tiles are in the bag? There's 3 in the bag, so yeah, he's just going to play 2 of them, score as much as he can, and leave Edgar with a tricky decision here.
Yeah, 1 in the bag. Edgar hasn't quite hit the bingo he was looking to hit, and now he's staring down a pool of AA, EEERT. He's got to figure out, and a blank. He's got to figure out if there's any possible bingo that he needs to block, or if it looks like he's just going to go, just get this game over with. So doting, I think, the play.
Wow. I don't know if he needed to do that, actually. Or I don't think the pool is that scary. I can understand with the blank unseen doing that. I mean, actually, a good question here, and a sincere question is: was Edgar tracking? I don't actually know. I mean, when you play that fast, I don't actually know if you give yourself time to track. I don't know if he's been taking the time to track. So he may just literally know that there's a blank unseen, and just say, "I'm blocking," and that might be it.
Yeah, I think at this point he's just going to end this game. He's been in such thorough control, and rather than trying to fish for a bingo, identify exactly what the best sequence is here, he's just going to play 6 tiles, hold that S, guarantee he goes out next turn, and I feel like that almost has to be one of his most solid end-game options. You need to go out before your opponent.
Right.
I think we're going to have a rather lengthy delay while Adam is down under 2 minutes. Edgar has played this game so incredibly fast that I think we're going to need just a little bit of time.
He's trying.
Okay, he's trying to play Octade, which is not valid. He's going to try to bingo out, though. And
Edgar immediately waves at it.
Yeah, get this garbage off my ball.
I like the way he did that. That was pretty stylish. Yeah, the not tracking thing. So we can ask Edgar about if we have a chance to interview him. What I have seen sometimes with other, like with some of the Nigerian players, is they'll play super fast and then they'll track when they need to at the end of the game, or like if they realize it's going to be close, they'll break out the tracking. So we should find out. I'm making a guess, and I have no actual idea.
Yeah, the director sees a folded up piece of paper next to Edgar, so perhaps that was used for tracking. But once you get that 200-point lead, especially on a board with this shape holding the case S, maybe you don't need it. I bet he had it the whole time, but wow, what a display. So Edgar now with his last two tiles AS going to be able to play out, catch Adam with that full rack. And the final score in this one is going to be 564 for Edgar, 327 for Adam Logan. And Edgar, look at that, 6 minutes and 2 seconds to absolutely pummel former world champion. Welcome to the stream, Edgar. I have a strong feeling that we're going to see a little bit more of you yet if you're going to play like that. Impressive stuff. And I'm hearing from production team that assuming Edgar's amenable to it, we're going to get the headset on him and have him walk us through that absolute banger of a game for him. The big play I think we're going to ask about is how certain are you that swirlers is a word? But as always, chat, if there's anything else you want to ask about or you'd like us to ask, get those questions generated. I don't think there were a lot of crazy turns. HOIS one that definitely happened fast and felt a little off. But any questions for Edgar about this game or in general, let us know and we'll do our best to ask those in this brief interview coming up. I see in chat suggesting Edgar sit there for 18 minutes and then go out with AS. that would have been something.
He wouldn't be the first.
It wouldn't be the first. We've seen a lot of stuff in Scrabble over the years, and grabbing the headset now is Edgar. Let's get a quick sound check. Edgar, this is Matt Canik on the stream. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So first off, congratulations! What an awesome debut for the your stream here at Albany. What a game! 564 to 327 over a former world champion. How do you feel about that?
No, it feels good, but there's still a very, very long way to go in this tournament.
Yeah, still a lot to be done, but we were very impressed by the precision with which you played that game and the speed on top of that, accurate and rapid fire. The one turn we want to ask you about, everybody in chat, how certain were you that swirlers is a word?
Sometimes you play on feeling and instinct. I honestly just played it. I actually do not really know if it's a word, but ER ascendance. It's just is it?
I will spoil it for you. It is not valid. You got a phony buy on a defending world champion. That was a gutsy move. You played it in 1 second, and that shifted the entire tide of the game. So a gutsy maneuver there, executed to perfection. How's that feel?
Well, I got away with one, I guess.
You got away with one for sure. And as soon as that play, we weren't sure. Was the play held by Adam, or was he just thinking about his next turn?
No, I was just thinking about his next turn. It just passed.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was incredible. That was really fun to watch. It definitely gave us some entertainment here at home. So we appreciated that. A gutsy move and again a huge payoff. I'm joined by Jesse Day in the booth. Jesse, do you have any questions for Edgar after that game?
Yeah, Edgar, congrats. It's not every day you get to beat a world champion. Yeah.
Thank you.
How do you prepare yourself to play that fast? I mean, do you go into every game thinking that you're going to move that? Is that just the pace you go every time? Are you thinking? Does it depend on your first couple of moves if you're going to keep playing fast? And are you tracking the whole time, or how do you prepare yourself?
No, I just think sometimes the moves come easily. So you're assessing candidate moves and because with the Bateau I saw tabulate and I saw Bateau and I thought maybe he might come block the triple N, but I mean, what can you do? If it's there, it's there. You play it. So I just think everything is dependent. If the racks are difficult and you need to find some top moves in there, you take some time. But if not, it's you just play as I mean the moves are easy, so you just play them. I mean, how long does
Yeah,
it take for someone to see layering or Eurodyne? These are common words, so yeah.
no, for sure. Makes sense.
Yeah, but it takes a mind too to recognize, hey, these are the easy turns. These are the ones I'm not going to waste the time on. I'm going to save that up for the end game. And it just game played with a lot of precision and very fast. It was very impressive for us to all watch here. I don't think we have any additional questions for you at this time, but we appreciate you hopping on the headset. I know that we're going to see more of you on the stream. You've been having some fantastic results over here in Albany so far, and as you said, it's a long tournament. We look forward to seeing more Scrabble from you. Congrats on the big win over Adam, and thanks for your time very much, Edgar.
Thank you too. Thank you too for the work. Yeah, what you're
Good
doing
luck,
for
Edgar.
Scrabble, is good.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And we hope to do a lot more of this streaming type stuff. I'll go ahead and say it one more time. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to Let's Play Scrabble. That's where the entire Albany tournament is going to be streamed. Several more big tournaments going to be streamed on this channel as well. Make sure we thumbs up this video. We have 6 more games of Scrabble coming today. So the more momentum we can build on this video, the more viewers we get into this afternoon session. Let's do it. It's a team effort. It takes a village to get Scrabble out there, and we appreciate everybody doing their part and helping out the channel and the stream. Jesse, we've had two intense games, big display, a lot of points, a lot of bingos coming on. I need a little bit of break. I need to catch some air after that one. So with that, Jesse and I are going to take a little bio break, but I'm hearing our next matchup is soon, despite the fact that Edgar played very quickly. Looks like players are almost ready for the next game. I can't promise you a matchup yet. We got to get permission from the players, but we will be back in just a short moment with 2 more games before our lunch break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to our final game of the morning block of the July 4th Albany, New York tournament. Matt Canik joined by Jesse Day, rounding out the morning session. And the final game we're going to bring you from this block is two players who have not been on the stream yet. Eric Smith against Dennis Ikekagor.
Good job. Mostly.
Oh, God. Okay. Anyway, Jesse, tell us about these players.
Yeah, so Dennis is going to be another classic expositor of the Nigerian style. When I played him, he is fast, he is defensive, and as mentioned before, that could be pretty flummoxing compared to these beautiful, wide open North American Scrabble boards that we're used to. So it'll be a pretty fun contrast in styles. Eric, as I kind of alluded to before, he's a bit of an up-and-comer. He's really lifted his game in the last year or two, and he is quite placid and pretty unflappable in demeanor. So I'm very curious if Dennis's fast-paced, aggressively defensive style is able to shake his confidence at all. Let's see.
We'll see. Eric, I think unfazed by anything, perhaps the greatest troll in the Scrabble scene. So I don't think he'll be rattled by fast play or anything else, though it's interesting to see Eric on this side of the stream instead of in the chat box. With that, let's get these players underway. One more game before our lunch break here from Albany, New York. I'm looking forward to a good one, a handshake, and we're ready to go. Hearing intel from the chat that Dennis's nickname is Iron Monkey. I see that from Rashid. I'm curious to the etymology of that nickname. I'm expecting a story or two in chat. That's awesome. So Eric versus the Iron Monkey. And I am curious where that comes from. But is it defense? Is it rock solid play? Is it something else? Tell me more, Rashid. I'm curious.
Amazing. We all need these nicknames. Yeah.
Scrabble needs more of that, man. We need nicknames, we need swagger, we need player cards, we need fervor as well. Fervor, easily the top option for Dennis here, and he's wasting no more time before he makes that. Fervor holding an L is his open to this game, and Eric, I don't even think has tiles on his rack before he's facing a 32-point deficit. Yeah, like you said, Jesse, this is fast and furious, isn't it?
Yeah. Auga. This is not a good draw for Eric. I think he's gonna throw his tiles away. So at least this isn't somewhere he needs to waste a lot of time. But yeah, his clock is already down 35 seconds before he's even had time to ponder what to do.
And this looks more like a messenger RNA than it does a Scrabble rack, unfortunately for Eric. I think you've got to throw back FOGOU. The one play to consider making here, 18 points, holds AAA. You looking to play here, Jesse, or just take a fresh start to this rack?
Yeah, I guess there are some options here. I was a little quick to discount the potential to go through. And he's taking the time to find Fogu, which is good. I like that he's considering his options. I didn't see any signs of immediate disgust or but yeah, I think I could go either way. Actually, I bet it's close to a toss-up. In general, the rule of thumb I have learned from exchange racks or from bad racks is in Collins, if you can score 20, it's usually kind of worth going ahead. 18 is not 20, and AAA is pretty bad. So it's going to be close. I wouldn't blame him for exchanging. If I exchange, I would keep an A. It would be natural to just throw them all back, but he should keep one of the A's because it is better than a random tile. But beyond that, I think it's really a toss-up. I don't know where a go is. I don't know what he's thinking about now. Maybe Agora? Agora is not enough points. He must exchange instead of Agora, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the only play you could make is Fogo here, but Eric going to roll the dice on Agora, score some points, and see where AOU takes you. I know where AOU takes you most of the time, and it takes you to trouble. So we'll see how Eric is able to draw and see if he faces any consequences for a play that I don't think either one of us is particularly a fan of up here in the commentary booth.
Yeah,
10
I
to
actually,
30.
I was just going to say
Go ahead.
quickly, I actually don't think that AOU is any better than AAA. That's the problem with. I wouldn't have sacrificed the 8 points. I don't think he gained a lot from it.
All right, and very quickly from Dennis, NAN, just 6 points, holding DELNR. I think a lot of players would opt to play maybe one or two more tiles in that situation. Lanner plays through the A, land, or something like that. But this is a nice way to keep yourself in bingo-prone range with the floating O available and the floating E to hit through fervor. I think you bingo a good amount of the time. Curious that it came so quickly. I would have spent some more time there, but this is what Dennis was advertised as, and this is what we're seeing so far. Fast and Furious, Nan for 6, and back to AACMOSU on Eric's rack. Jesse, do you want to go back and look at Nan, or do you want to go forwards and look at Eric's play here?
Oh man, Nan is so risky because that rack, DELNR, too many consonants. It could really go very poorly, but it's gone perfectly for him. He is blender and reblend, and Agora takes an E. So Dennis is looking forward to bingoing here unless it gets blocked. A reblend under fervor, under the OR of fervor. I mean, he is his gamble, where it may not be textbook stuff, but it's the kind of gamble that can pay off big time, and it's worked for him here.
Yeah, the fish executed to perfection as Dennis looks to cash in a big score next turn, already leading by 28. But Eric has a number of big plays available, cashing in either Nana or Nans as he's doing here. And it looks like he's opting for CAUMS, holding AO as a leave, perhaps leaving something on the table. I think Mucosa. MUCOSA would be slightly stronger here, although it's 3 fewer points. AO is too many vowels. That O is not a great tile. I think just a small miss here from Eric, but still a strong play in comms, although he's about to get bingoed on.
Yeah, the AO synergy is notably bad. In terms of the A on its own is not bad. The O is not terrible, but A and O together are really anti-synergetic. It's a combo I try to avoid when I can.
Yeah, I think had Erickson, wrong on suffix, had Erickson seen Mucosa, I think he would have played it, but it's tricky to spot a weird 6 like that on that turn. Hard word to see. So columns to play and reblend comes down. Eric has now found AEEKORR. So AO did not go as far south as we expected. And 48 points available for Eric on this turn. One play that's far above the rest. This is a perfect Woogles puzzle here. Find the one good play.
What a great plug. Yes. Deck Care with the K, 48 points. It's exactly the medicine that Eric needs here. Would leave him down only 13 points. It's really the perfect play. Let's see if he can. I think he is a very active woogler. He's done a lot of our puzzles, so this may be the kind of. No, I have jinxed him. What is he going to do instead? I'm very curious. Oh boy. This is a very inspired phony. It's a combination of Karea Area and Koea. And Dennis, literally, I have never seen a faster response time for clock hitting after a play. I mean, that must have been like 0.2 seconds. That was remarkable.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. When I saw the K go down up in that square, I had no idea what was happening, but it seems like an alternate or a botched spelling of a couple different words there. So a phony coming off now for Eric. Dennis just immediately challenging that crap off. And it'll still remain 111 to 50. Eric, you will maybe have deck hair next turn. So Dennis, we'll see if he sticks with his fast play or with perfect knowledge of Eric's rack, tries to assess the situation further and knock out the deck hair possibility. Looks like he's lining up to just play Iwi, I think, above Fervor.
Gotta go fast.
Is he going fast or is he going to take his time here? I think he's got to make that decision. He wants to play, but I think maybe he's spotted now what Eric has. No, he's just spotted a better play in Muni.
Interesting. If he had taken the time to think about deck hair being present, I think maybe, I don't actually know how he would do this, but I think he would have considered trying to block because it is such a commandingly better play than anything else that Eric can do. But yeah, Eric, hopefully, I saw a little bit of head shaking from Eric, but he, Vinu, that's a very creative block. And it would have set up his S as well. So that's a time when digging in a little deeper could have really paid off. That's a really great spot. But Eric just needs to. I wonder if sometimes something I notice with the trolls among us in our community is that when you put them under the spotlight on stream, they suffer a little bit. So I'm hoping Eric can, not to like generalize about trolls, but I'm hoping Eric can put aside his error and gain a little composure and find deck hair here.
A 27 game tournament is just as much a mental fortitude battle as it is a do I know a lot of words battle. You have to be able to shake off mistakes. Everybody is going to make mistakes over the course of a 27 game tournament. Just have to keep going. Just have to do the best with the letters in front of you this turn. Eric needs to take the extra time and find deck hair here. But we'll see if he's able to do it. Looks like he's looking at Kore. I'm trying to figure out where he wants to put this down.
Korea, not valid. Yeah, so the word he was going for, ka rea rea, is a New Zealand falcon. And it's sometimes like with this, especially with like the many vowel bingos, some of the stuff can look like gibberish. So my teachable Maori moment for you is that in my experience, Maori words tend to be duplicates of the same syllable, like exact duplicates. So ka rea rea, it would be rea after the ka. So that's my secret Maori lesson for you is it tends to be the same thing repeated twice. I don't think there's any Maori words I can think of where it's not a repeat.
And we will send you the bill for Linguistics 101 with Professor Jesse Day after this stream is over. But deck hair missed by Erickson. And QIS, the immediate response from Dennis. Darker is just a worse version of deck hair. It scores 12 less and has a worse leave, but it is the second strongest option likely in that position for Erickson. QIS and the points for that put Dennis ahead again by a large score, 179 to 86. And I can't get the racks updated yet for Eric, but we'll get it once he's able to put the tiles on his rack. I'm feeling the time pressure from Dennis maybe more than Eric is. It's tough up here.
Yeah, why don't they think about us, man?
Come on. Think about your lonely commentator who never ever gets to play the fun tournaments because I always have to sit at my desk and do this instead. Be nice to me. Just kidding. I'm not nice to myself. All right.
Speaking of not nice, do you see what Dennis just lined up? Oof.
Oh my goodness.
The pain train is coming. I know we usually focus on the current, but he's got chow time from the sea, and he's got a howitzer lined up, pointed right at Eric, and we might be on the cusp of seeing another cannon blast of a game.
So is this going to be streamed today? We just see different players from Africa absolutely dismantle their opposition repeatedly. Man, this has been a clinic so far.
Yeah, this is wild. I mean, for Eric, down 100. I mean, he really just needs to play off the X and bingo. I really wish he could keep this E somehow, but I mean, I guess for 6 extra points, you kind of have to do it. Also, he's kind of blocking the letters that he needs to stay open to be able to bingo back. Anyway, it's all going to be, my commentary is all moot because it is shots fired. It is about to go down.
Yeah, so here comes Howitzer, the highest scoring bingo Dennis has available. I do think on Eric's last turn, that's got to be AX instead of AXE, just to keep that C alive and dangerous. You can play, CL, CR type words from it. Keep the lane alive with the deficit you have. But if Dennis is going to draw Howitzer for 92, you were dead no matter what you did anyway. So it is what it is. That's close to GG in this one. If Eric pulls a bingo here, perhaps we'll keep it going. ADLO is a reasonable leave. There's good stuff to be done. Oh, there's a blank and a Y and an E. So a great pull for Eric. And like I said, a bingo here will get him back in it. There are 2 playable bingos for Eric here. Both look to be tough finds. One is 72, the other 84. Let's see if he finds one.
Thanks for not spoiling it. I was just trying to figure out for myself if I could tease out the bingos. Yeldon is a nice one, making the blank and N right here. YEALDON, which has approximately 37 different spellings in this dictionary. Yeah, this is the time to really. I mean, he doesn't have an abundance of time, but that is so good. He turned the blank. Someone in chat noticed that the blank was sideways, and apparently Eric is equally perceptive and also bothered by this. I think actually I'm of 2 minds because he can't use 10 minutes of his time to find the bingo here because then he won't have enough time to complete the rest of his comeback. So at a certain point, you have to kind of draw a line and say, all right, if I can't find anything, I'm playing Yod, which is a fine 30-point scoring play that keeps a blank AEL, pretty high chance of bingoing. So you kind of have to draw the line, but you have to invest the appropriate amount of time to this because it will make a big difference if you can get a bingo down right now because he needs multiple bingos and the thing standing in the path from his second bingo is playing his first one.
So the 2 bingos Eric has, one of them is Forelady, FORELADY. The other one is Decalogy, DEKALOGY. Through the K, making the blank a G. That'd be 84 points if he's able to spot it. That's deep in the word list. That's a tough spot given it's a K and a G. I would never even think to do that. So Eric on the spot here. Will he at least find Forelady? I think the more common, higher prob one. Will he flex on us with Decalogy? Or will he just play OI or DOI somewhere? Let's see what you got, Eric.
Yeah, the thing is, Decalogy is big. There's no 2 ways about it. It's 84. But Yod for 32 that's 52 points shy, but you're keeping AEL blank, which is 35-ish points. So it's only kind of like a 15-point error-ish. So that's what I mean about drawing the line of like he could spend 10 minutes staring at stuff. Oh, what is he doing? Interesting.
He's going to open a triple.
Nice. Oh,
right.
This
so
is
no Forelady, no Decalogy, Yodel
this
coming down. And what is this?
Vizzy is going to go down in 5 seconds for 57. Youch.
Time pressure continues. Vizzy 57 played instantly, and Eric can't even get his tiles out of the bag to record that painful score. When it rains, it pours, and we've just seen a lot of crazy games and a lot of fireworks on the left side of the stream all morning. ACGOTH blank, gotcha, and a blank. No playable bingos, it looks like, for Eric on this turn, but some really cool stuff nonetheless. Major opportunities to score down in this quadrant of the board. CHOG, CHOTA both play there. ZHO, another very high scoring option, but doesn't break up the dreaded CG combination. So no bingos here for Eric, but awesome plays, retain the blank, try to get back in this next turn, although it's quickly sliding away from you. Jesse, do you prefer like one of the two overlaps here, Chog versus Chota? Do you see something else? Do you think Eric needs to try to open another triple? What's the approach here?
No, this isn't the worst spot. I mean, short of bingoing, actually, like having a massive scoring play that keeps the blank is pretty great. So I just put Chog down. Definitely not Chota. G blank has the potential to go horribly wrong. So I'm putting down Chog and keeping AT blank and thinking I have a chance.
So yeah, Chog, I think it just has to be the play here once you spot it, and that's a stack that's pretty easy to see. 45 points, AT blank is a lead. Like, what else can a dude ask for? So Chog, I expect to be the play here. And Dennis, FGILNRS, no bingos quite, but he's in range and can keep some good stuff next turn to keep the scoring assault going.
Our chat has noticed that Dennis has R space flings lined up and is wondering if he's going to consider reflings. We shall see. That could be the opening. Usually to get back in. Oh, is he going to leave the C off? I don't like this. 10 points, or 13 points. Maybe he wasn't sure about Chog. Yeah.
Or, yeah, I don't know. If you play Collins for more than like one day, you're not blind to the CH hook. I guess he might not have known the Chog, the 4 or something. 191 for Eric, 328 for Dennis. No playable bingos. I don't think he's going to play reflings. I think he was just showing that he had riflings if he got the eye that he needed. And it looks like just playing some defense here. FIRK, doing some board control, knocking out the best floaters available is how Dennis is going to approach this turn. Not a lot of other options on this turn. Something like this makes sense. You could think about playing like Elf from the E and darker, but I think knocking out that floating R is very important. It's easily the best spot to bingo on this board. So a nice defensive option here from Dennis, exerts some control on the board. And we'll see now Eric, ACEOTU blank. Another bingo prone rack, and bingos are home for him today. The R was not obstructed enough to block a Aeroduct, 72 points, his highest scoring bingo. He has a second option as well, Autocade from the A in darker for 68. I think we're going to see him pull the trigger on a bingo here. I don't think it's appropriate to play something like ZOA and hold your blank for another turn. You've got a bingo now and kind of progress this game. Jesse, do you like Aeroduct better, or would you play Autocade and just throw that E into a triple and see where the winds take you?
No, I would do Aeroduct here. Just looking, there's a couple of S's left, so Aeroduct does kind of set up a next lane. You still have the bingo lane next to the Q. I mean, it's looking pretty grim, but Aeroduct is the best chance he has. Aeroduct is not very easy to block either because of the C towards the end of the word. So that T and the S hook on Aeroduct are going to be quite difficult to block. I have to point out, FERC is the ultimate. Like, if you want to see the Nigerian style in action, FERC is the ultimate, just fast, insta-block. Like, GLNS, not a conventionally good leave. Like, if you just plug that into Quackle static, it's probably going to play a couple of consonants somewhere else. But Dennis opting for the blockiest block and also just getting something down fast and keeping the time pressure on. So, I mean, I feel like this entire morning has been a really cool kind of like exhibition of how the game gets played in Africa. It is fast. It is defensive. You will sacrifice points now to make life harder for your opponent. And yeah, it's so cool that there is the capacity for these stylistic variations. Like, I think there's so much unsolved about this game, and our tools available are so far from unearthing everything that is possible strategically with this game. And we see it every time we watch like a different expert show up from a different country, or we watch Nigel play. You see stuff all the time where it's like, that is radically different than conventional wisdom. So yeah, Ferk, I kind of love it. I hate playing against it because you see that go down. Most of the time you're like, man, how do you, like, you're going to block my spot for 7 points? And it's like, yep, if that's what it takes.
And I mean, but look at what plays like this do. Like, Eric had a number of bingos that were awesome, and now he has to decide between two options that suck in Aeroduct and Autocade, and that's all he's got. Nobody else is home. So, it's perhaps annoying to play against, but it creates tougher decisions and harder situations. And clearly, the African players are having so much success. So there's got to be something to this. And it definitely, coming to North America, bringing this brand of Scrabble, takes people out of their comfort zones. Those floaters they're looking for in these nice bingo fests, that ain't happening. If Dennis is going to take a lead on you, he's going to wall you in, and you're just going to lose. And I'm curious to see which Americans and Canadians are able to adjust their game and who's not able to adapt to the new environment. And it looks like Eric, once again, unable to adapt to this situation, as I think he's whiffed on each of the bingos there, holding EAU blank into a pool that's almost half vowels. I think things are about to get even worse for Eric in this game. Though, crucially, if he found Aeroduct, he would have given back either Gelents or Leglands and Aeroducts. So dodging a bullet by missing his bingo there.
It's just kind of the luck of the game where he actually didn't give his opponent a bingo right back. But yeah, Dennis continuing to roll up the fort.
What are your thoughts on this, Jesse? As you say, just immediate 7-point block.
Well, what I love is that he didn't. 7 points. I didn't mean to call that up. What I love is that he put Lar down. He looked at it. He's like, if I put this N on here, then he can't even bingo from the A. So that's, it is beautiful. Beautiful masonry. Beautiful stone walling. And Eric's going to have to do something like, he probably has to play Quay, however you pronounce it. Are there any D's left? Because if so, Quay is actually quite a quite nice way to add a little volatility to things. But yeah, it's kind of in a bit of a downward spiral here where Dennis is just going to keep blocking. Yeah, he's got to do it. And this is the thing. When your opponent is forced to keep opening and opening, a lot of times when you're in the lead, they'll just give you something super juicy, which is what's just happened.
Gallo for 52?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is why you play defense, because people open stuff and then you murder them. This is why you play defense.
I could not say it better.
All right, again, patented Nigerian style, wasting no time. He used 5 minutes in this game, and he's going to hit 400 points with this play. Oh my goodness, this is something. Finally, Eric is going to get a bingo, I think, but first he's going to challenge Gould. So 405 actually for Dennis, or perhaps 410 if we challenge both words. Just the one though.
I'm just going to say that Eric looked exhausted there when he was challenging. Like I almost feel like he's challenging just to buy himself some breathing room of like, I have some doubts about this, but also like let's pause for a second.
I'm seeing in the chat from Rashida, what Dennis is doing is called win first. Apparently, spread is not often a tiebreaker, it looks like, or just the way people play. But do what gives you 100% to win. Spread be damned. I don't mind if I score 8 as long as I win. So that seems to be what's going on here. Win first, Ferk into Larn. Unconventional plays, but plays that I do really think just hammer home that I'm going to win this game. Eric, now just one word that bingos in this situation on this board. It plays in a number of spots, but the one word that he needs to find is annotate, which plays through the A in Quaid.
I think he's going to see this one. I hope that he sees this one. This is the it ends here. It's been what, 5 turns, and I mean, it's hard for me to say that he could have done anything different if he doesn't see the bingos. I mean, 4 lady decalogy, those are tough. I think that aeroduct turn, or the autocade aeroduct turn, part of me wishes that he had dug in a little bit more right there, because I think that was the moment. I guess the good thing is he has blocked epitasis from Dennis, so it could have been worse. But yeah, what do you think, Matt?
I just, you look back at how this game went south for Eric and how Dennis ended up building this commanding position. We've seen some other blowouts today where it was just the tiles. You know, we're going to see Austin Shin bingo 3 turns in a row, and you just kind of lose when that happens. But going back, I think Eric could have done something differently on nearly every turn of this game, and it's hard to play on the stream. My standard of play, I feel like, is probably 1,400 on the stream when I'm allegedly 1,900 off of it. But there's a lot of things that could have gone differently. And Eric is only down 100. It feels like he's down way more, but just a lot of turns, I think, to go back and learn from and grow from. But that's the beauty of this game. You have to be bad to get better. You have to make these mistakes, face these situations, and figure out, where did I let this one get away? Teachable moments.
Yeah, I mean, also, Eric is relatively new to getting streamed, and I think you kind of just need to be there 10 or 20 times before you get really comfortable with it, because it can really compound any stress that you feel if you're not accustomed to it. So I think there's just no substitute for mileage. That'll be my other big takeaway from this.
I do wonder, I know in Africa, events are often like match play. They're broadcast on WhatsApp. Sometimes even some betting happens on these. So I wonder to what degree African players are used to being streamed at events down there. I don't know the answer to that, but I'm certain people out there do. Has Dennis ever been streamed before? Is this a swagger, just the swagger he always brings? Is he used to being streamed? Is this how he deals with stream jitters, by just crushing people? I'm curious, but yeah, Eric definitely not, I think, someone I've ever seen streamed before. This might be his first time, and there's no substitution, as Jesse said, for mileage. Just gotta learn to ignore the cameras, and it takes time.
Yeah, I would think the Nigerian league has to be a huge deal in terms of just playing at elevated stakes regularly. This is the Nigerian team league, the Mind Sports. I cannot remember the name off the top of my head, unfortunately. But that's just a different level of repeated weekly competition, and just getting used to pressure is a big deal.
Getting used to being judged on the internet by a whole bunch of trolls who usually don't even use their real name in chat, so I don't know who they are. It's almost as hard as having to talk in front of said trolls for 50 combined hours over the course of a tournament and not be judged by them, and take shots of hot sauce in front of them, and all of the other things that we do here in the commentary booth. No, I mean, it takes getting used to. I'm not used to it. I blew a game at a nationals because I was so nervous that I wrote down the letter D and it looked like an A because I didn't make the cap tall enough. And then I let Will Anderson triple out on me because I mistracked. So yeah, being on stream is hard. Dumb mistakes happen. Everybody makes them. But this is how you do it. And Josh Greenway behind us in a production saying this is the reason he and Kieran decided to stream every single multi-day is to help players get used to this level of pressure, this kind of exposure, this kind of surreal environment where you're sequestered away from the rest of the tournament, and there's ropes around your table and light over your head and all that. It's different. It's hard to get used to.
Yeah. But fun once you get comfortable, it's sort of, this is the pinnacle of competition. So Eric has nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, even just making it to the stream table is a big accomplishment. It means you're doing something right. And I think for anyone who's there, who's nervous about getting there, you just kind of have to appreciate it as the special opportunity it is, and just a chance to show your best stuff. Not like pressure, but more just kind of it's almost like your reward is getting to show what you've got.
Eric down to 21 seconds. Is he going to go over time and add a little bit of injury to insult? He's got an inflexible last rack, too. It's not going to be easy to find a great sequence there. Oh, man, this one's been in pain.
Yeah, he's earning his stripes on this one. This has been rough. No two ways about it. And it's kind of good that it's lunchtime right now. It's a chance to shake it off. It can be really tough when you have a game like this, and then you immediately have to turn things around and start from scratch. It can be really hard to untangle yourself from that's the thing about these big losses. It's not about it's just one game, but it's about, like, does it affect your composure? Does it carry it? Can you shake it off, or do you tilt? Do you keep this with you?
Yeah, you got to shake it off. And fortunately, if you're going to get drubbed, you want it to happen over lunch. And you want it to happen just before lunch for a number of reasons. One, obviously, get away from the game, shake it off mentally. The more time away from the board, the less it's going to sting. But a sneaky little portion of getting beaten bad right before lunch is generally the pairings for the round after lunch. They'll actually wait and take all the result slips in and then pair. So you get a slightly better matchup if you lose the game before lunch, as opposed to losing any other game where pairings are based on 2 rounds ago standings instead of 1 round ago standings. So a couple silver linings here in what's otherwise been a rather sad experience for Eric. Go get some lunch. I hope you eat something delicious. There's got to be some good food options in Albany, right?
No Mexican food. I don't remember it's been a while since I've been there, but that was the one meal I regret in Albany. I haven't been there in quite a long time. By the way, I see a nice sequence here of Tau and Peptic, by the way, just to put an opinion on the table. But yeah, where did you go in Albany? What do you reckon? What are the hot spots?
I think one of my old high school students gave me an Olive Garden gift card, and as like an end of year gift, and there was an Olive Garden across the street in Albany, so I'm like, perfect, I get to cash this in. I think I ate at an Olive Garden. I think we went to sushi one time, where I remember a certain Scrabble player whose name I won't drop thought that wasabi was avocado and ate the entire stack of wasabi, and then
oh no,
it ended exactly as you expect. Never a dull moment with Scrabble, folks. Never a one. But I don't know. There's a number of restaurants walkable from the hotel in Albany. It's a great venue, and Albany in July is a perfect place to be. Far better than Texas, as you and I have to experience, Jesse.
Well, it's below 100 here.
Below 100 here, and that's good news.
I mean, last summer we had 3 months in a row where it got up to 40 degrees Celsius every day for our international listeners. So anyway, that's sort of a Texas tradition to complain about the weather, but we'll spare everyone.
I am actually super stoked to be getting hit by a hurricane on Monday because we desperately need this rain. So come at us, Beryl. Just hope you break up into a tropical storm first. And of course, I hope everybody in South Central Texas and Mexico stays safe during the disaster. I think it's hitting Tulum and Cancun as we speak. So hopefully everybody stays safe. And hopefully this hurricane season is not as bad as they say it's going to be.
Yeah, stay indoors, stay playing Scrabble. It's a good time for your parlor games.
Play is going to resume at 2:45 Eastern. I believe we're going to bring a mix. I think we might do maybe 2 CSW games and then flip over to NWL, but I don't think these decisions have been made. We're going to have to look at matchups in the NWL field. We're going to have to feel out the co-commentator. We're bringing Mack Meller back in for the afternoon and see how much CSW he'd like to do. We'll make these decisions, and I'll keep everybody informed once they've been made, but I think some CSW and then some NWL is the plan for this afternoon session. We'll be back again all day Saturday and all day Sunday as well. This is a 4-day tournament, and this is just day 2 for us. So plenty more Scrabble here. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the Let's Play Scrabble channel. We are going to take the stream down and have a different streaming link for the afternoon session. So be sure if you're going to leave us on your TV, you pop over by 2:45 Eastern and get to that other stream. Looks like TAPETI, the play from Dennis, so showing off knowledge of some neat sixes. Eric gonna hit back with BUDI, and mercifully, finally, Dennis looks to go out. It's 12 minutes to figure out where to put this P tile. Hopefully he doesn't use them all, because I'd really like to go to lunch.
I see 8. Can you beat 8, chat?
If you can, then you came up with a phony word, because 8 points is the best spot for Dennis, and right on cue, he goes out for 6. So
Nope, he found the 8.
excellent.
Every point counts.
Didn't need all 12 minutes to do it either. All right, so 8 points for Dennis, grabbing the points off Eric's rack as well. The final in this one, 470. Excuse me, Jesus, 470 to 364. Another win for the African contingent here. Another win for Dennis, who has averaged over 500 points so far on stream and played both of these games precisely, but also quickly. This has been fun to watch. I am so looking forward to watching the rest of this CSW field. Last game was Edgar. This game was Dennis, but just impressive play nonetheless. Rapid, precise, tight, much to the chagrin of Jesse Day in the booth. With that, we're going to cut away from the board and wind down the coverage for the morning session. Jesse, it's always a treat to have you on. As I mentioned, we're cutting over to Mack Meller doing commentary in the afternoon, but thank you, Jesse, for being on. What final words do you have for our audience today?
Yeah, it was a treat. This is probably the most stylistically divergent stream that I've gotten to cast. And yeah, lots of great defense. Lots of interesting psychological moments, handling adversity. I think you got to see part of what makes Scrabble such a rich game. The fact that we have these different influences, different philosophies about how to play. And it's a treat. I mean, this is going to be an incredible month. We have a lot of great events to offer from North America. So stay tuned and don't miss out. It's a whole month of big tournaments, big championships.
A whole month of big tournaments. This Albany tournament running yesterday, today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And then the Scrabble Players Championship from South Bend, Indiana, July 20th to 24th. And the Word Cup from Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's, I believe, July 27th to 30th or somewhere in there. So 3 major Scrabble tournaments in 4 weeks here in North America. all of it is going to be streamed on the internet for those of you at home looking to stay indoors, stay cool during the summer. Plenty of Scrabble to be watched. Jesse, thanks for your time. Audience, thanks for your viewing. Josh, thanks for all you've done. Let's go have some lunch, and we'll reconvene at 2:45 Eastern. See you then.
Thanks for having me.